Ladies and gentlemen, it is Thursday, February 5th, 2026. Here's what's coming up on the Owen Report today. Well, day four of our Epstein Files coverage, and like we've done every day this week, we're going to start off the first hour with a lot of the raw Epstein files. Now it's going to have a bit of a different presentation today. We do have a lot of the raw files. We're going to add a little community commentary, let's say. We're going to connect some other dots to some of the names and what they've been up to in the files. And then we're going to look at the cover-up of what's being revealed in the files, the cover-up of what everybody already knew about Jeffrey Epstein. It's so obvious, it's ridiculous. And I know I've said that I'm going to be nice this week as far as the people attacking me are concerned. We might strip a layer of that away. We might strip a layer of that niceness away today. And then we're going to look at statements from Trump. We're going to look at the next move from the House with Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie about getting justice. I mean, you can say for the victims. I'd like to hear more from the victims, quite frankly. I'd like to see more from the victims, but they're the victims. They'll decide what they want to do. I feel it's just justice for America because something is just horribly wrong here. Something is just horribly wrong here. Our intelligence agencies, our FBI, everybody knew about this stuff, and they did nothing. And they've still done nothing. So where's the voice of the American people to say, hey, look at how corrupt our own justice system is? So you can throw the media in there with it. Look at this corruption. Clearly, this is coded language. Clearly, they're talking about some form of illegal, illicit sexual activity. It appears to be mostly with minors. And you guys just let it go on? And the American people can't rise up and say, no, anybody involved that was investigating this, that we haven't seen mass arrests and didn't make a loud noise about this, shut the whole thing down. If our FBI is so corrupt or incompetent that they can't shut this deal down that was going on for years and they had these files, just shut it down. Just shut it down. I'm sorry. I don't want an FBI that covers up for pedophiles. I don't want an FBI that covers up for child sex trafficking rings. Sorry, not interested. Not interested. Shut it down. Shut it down. Now, we do have some economic news today, and then we'll tie that into some things that Trump said with some recent interviews. And Trump spoke at the National Prayer Breakfast today. Folks, this guy is just, more people are starting to realize what I think I was right about day one, that this is all about Iran strikes, the market crash, which continues, by the way. The market crash continues. The more Epstein files, images, videos, drip, 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 leak, leak, leak continues. I think it's all about Trump striking Iran. Now, there's other side missions, side quests that go along with this, but other people are starting to figure this out too. So I'll give Trump credit. He's not striking Iran, at least he hasn't yet. So despite this pressure campaign to crash the markets and to release the Epstein files to get him to attack Iran, he hasn't. But I mean, my God, this guy is just turning into a straight up goober. He is just turning into a straight up goober with the things that he's saying and doing now. It's outright ridiculous. And it's like, you can do the whole, bravado confidence act. You can play that card every once in a while. It's the only card he has left, folks. It's the only card he has left now, and it's ridiculous. And I'll repeat what I said yesterday. We're better off with him just coming out and telling the truth. Okay? I also have an interesting take on this Savannah Guthrie thing. No one else is brave enough to say it, so I will.
This news update was brought to you by OwenSchroyer.store, the official site for Owen Report merchandise.
All right, how many of you listening to this have gotten an email or read a story about some massive hack, and maybe you're entitled to something, or maybe somebody tried to sell your private information on the internet? It's very likely that you listening to this by now have probably dealt with something similar. And if you haven't, it's very likely you will in the future. That is, unless you can save yourself the headache, you can save yourself the hassle by going to patriot-protect.com/Owen. Now, hear me out. First, just go to the website, patriot-protect.com/Owen, and you can read all about the service and why you're going to find that it's very necessary. But I can tell you from my own experience why it's necessary. I've been doxxed. I've had my private information shared and sold online. Even worse, it's one thing, okay, I'm a public figure. I put my face out there. I put my name out there. I put my controversial opinions out there. But my family didn't choose this life. They don't deserve it. Not that I do. But that's what happens. Then your family gets tangled into this web, and then they can get your family's information, and then they can harass your family and do illegal things to your family. You don't want to deal with this, folks. You don't. Trust me. So go to patriot-protect.com/Owen. And if you haven't had to deal with this yet, let's make sure you don't. Let's make sure you don't have to do it. Now, not only will they go online and scrub all of that private personal information that you don't want out there off the internet, not only will they do that, they then run their security systems 24/7 in case it pops up again. Boom, they're right on it, tackling it before it can even get out of the backfield. That's the type of service you need to protect your private information on the internet from crooks and hackers and scammers, as well as your family. Patriot-protect.com/Owen. And we have an offer for you. When you go right now, you can get 15% off your yearly subscription. You heard me right. Listeners of this show, 15% off a yearly subscription. All you got to do is put promo code Owen in at checkout. Remember that when you go to patriot-protect.com/Owen, 15% off a yearly subscription. Just put promo code Owen at checkout. Promo code Owen at checkout, 15% off a yearly subscription at patriot-protect.com/Owen. This is an important service. I think everybody's going to have a service like this in the near future when this problem becomes even a bigger issue. So get ahead of it now. Patriot-protect.com/Owen. Promo code Owen at checkout to get 15% off a yearly subscription.
On the cutting edge of news and analysis, the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
So, a lot of sexual harassment stuff in the news of late, and I couldn't help but notice a very disturbing pattern emerging, which is that many of the predators, not all, but many of them, are Jews.
Dang it, Larry. Why'd you do it, Larry? Larry David, always good for a laugh, ladies and gentlemen. All right. I guess he might be referring to this gentleman right here that Bradley Martin caught, 76-year-old Hollywood producer Herschel Weingrod, who met up with a 15-year-old girl, that whole video. You may remember that from Bradley Martin. All right, Larry. You made me do it, Larry. You made me do it. All right, guys. We're on day 4 now. We're going to do what we've been doing this week as far as reading the raw Epstein files off. We're going to add a little extra to it today. We're going to make some connections with some of the people that are in the files and some of the things that they're saying, some of the things that they're doing. We're going to look at the massive cover-up that's ongoing right now. And I've mostly been nice, and I've said this. I'm going to be nice to the people that are attacking me on this. I'm going to be nice to the people, the individuals that will give them the benefit of the doubt, that they just don't understand it. They can't comprehend it. But we're going to remove a little layer of that today. So we will have some just raw files, but we're going to have a couple added. We're going to have a couple added angles to our coverage of that today. Now, Todd Blanche, who's basically said in multiple interviews and press conferences now that there's nothing to see here. Nothing to see here, guys. I don't know how you could possibly say that. I don't know how you could possibly agree with that. To me, no honest person, no decent person is going to sit here after seeing these files and say, oh, nothing to see here. No honest, no decent person could possibly believe that. No honest, no decent person could possibly say that. And so it's amazing when you see all of this, a lot of dishonest people are exposing themselves. A lot of not decent people, a lot of indecent people are exposing themselves through this. And, you know, I'm always okay with political disagreements. I encourage it. I encourage it on this show. You know, I welcome it. But I have no tolerance for people that are covering up and being dishonest about what's in these files. None. And I think a lot of you that are engaging in this cover-up and an obfuscation of the truth, I think a lot of you are either mismeasuring or misreading the room right now, or maybe worse, maybe that's your job. Maybe that's the whole reason why you're here, is to run ops for foreign interests. You got to wonder. Now, Thomas Massey and Ro Khanna are mostly responsible for getting this stuff out now. And Ro Khanna made this announcement earlier today. Ro Khanna and Thomas Massey have requested a meeting with Todd Blanche to ask why the senders of these emails have been redacted. Concealing the reputations of these powerful men is a blatant violation of the Epstein Transparency Act we passed. Now, here's at least 2 of the emails he's discussing. The one with the redacted name to Jeffrey Epstein with images attached to it, which let me get to that in a second. The new Brazilian just arrived, sexy and cute, equals 9-year-old. Now, there's some debate over what these equal signs mean, but we don't know. So it looks like on the surface, they're talking about a 9-year-old. Now, if they are talking about a 19-year-old, this still appears to be sex trafficking. So why are they redacting? Why are they redacting this name that appears to be the sex trafficker? Now we're going to go to a take from a lawyer later on in this opening hour that asks the right question, which is, okay, if these are the people that are being redacted, it still doesn't make sense. But we'll get to that later. Okay, so this is one of the emails they're going to be asking Blanche about. Here's another one, 2 redacted from Jeffrey Epstein. Or I guess rather this was to Jeffrey Epstein from redacted, the original email here. Thank you for a fun night. Your littlest girl was a little naughty. I mean, come on. That's what I'm saying. Any decent person or any honest person cannot tell you there's nothing there. Now, if you want to be one of these, like, I need beyond a reasonable doubt, overwhelming evidence to even think that there's anything bad here, fine enough. But if you're not at least looking at this and saying, yeah, that's suspicious, I'd like to know. You're not an honest person, and I think you're an indecent person, and your entire reputation now in the media should be in question. If not, your entire media presence should be completely kicked out and ignored. You should be completely discounted if you can't look at these emails and say something is wrong here. Something is wrong here. So, Massey and Ro Khanna will be asking Todd Blanche about that. But again, it's incredible to watch Todd Blanche in multiple interviews and press conferences telling the media, telling the American people that there's nothing to see here. There's nothing there. There's nothing incriminating. There's nothing actionable. So now you got to question Todd Blanche and say, well, what type of a person is Todd Blanche? What is he covering up? Why is he being dishonest? Why is he being indecent to the American people? Who does he work for? So before I get into the files, in fact, let me reiterate this. Let me reiterate this because I think this is a very important point. And I said this day one, and really I got into this last week. But more people are starting to catch up and realize what's going on here. I still believe, and I'm not saying this is an isolated thing. I do believe there are other factors at play. But I think the number one factor of all of this right now is the foreign and special interests, specifically Israel, who in some way, shape, or form, Epstein was working for or working with or loyal to some degree. They want Trump to strike Iran. That's the biggest factor at play here. So the blackmail agencies, the foreign lobbyists, the powers that be, directly tied in to these Epstein files, directly tied into U.S. politics and U.S. finance and banking and influence and everything else. They want Trump to strike Iran. They want Trump to use the U.S. military to once again use United States blood and treasure for the interest of Israel. And so since Trump doesn't want to do that, since Trump continues to hold off on that, they're crashing the markets. And they will continue to crash the markets until Trump strikes Iran. I also believe that's what the Epstein file release is about. They were supposed to release these files months ago. They didn't do it. Why are they releasing them now? They could have redacted Trump's name from these files for over a year. For over a year, they could have redacted Trump's name from these files. And they didn't do it. Why? Now, I'm not saying I don't want full transparency, but this is just the truth. They did not redact Trump's name from the files, even though he requested them to do so. And they easily could have done it. And by the way, they are in the process of doing that right now. Now, that could be some other factor. That could be an independent factor, but that is happening. So that's what they want. They want Trump to strike Iran. They want the regime change in Iran. Israel wants to take control of Iran's domestic and foreign policies, and they want to use the U.S. blood, treasure, and military to do it, and Trump isn't doing it. And so they're crashing the markets, and they're doing the drip, drip, drip of the Epstein files. Now, I wonder how long Trump can hold out on this. I'm surprised that it's lasted this long, quite frankly. And if it lasts through the weekend, I wonder what's going to come next. Now, there's so many of these files that it's taking a community of people to go through it and find it all. But slowly but surely, more people are finding different avenues and routes to compile this stuff, to download this stuff. And now we're getting access to images. We're getting access to videos. Now, I wouldn't be surprised if Trump holds off another week or weekend or two, somebody doesn't decide to leak a video or, oops, accidentally remove the redaction of a face of Donald Trump from an image or video. Or maybe it's Melania. I don't know. Don't be surprised. And that'll be the final indicator, as if it's not obvious already. To me, that'll be the final indicator of, okay, Trump doesn't have control of his DOJ. And whoever is running this operation to crash the markets and to release the Epstein files with the selective timing and the selective redactions, they're obviously working against Trump, twisting his arm to try to get him to attack Iran. To me, it couldn't be more obvious. I saw this day one, and I think everybody's starting to see it now, and the trend just continues. Now, Trump obviously did the original strike on Iran, but we know from history that whenever the foreign lobbyists and the Israeli interests call him up and tell him to do something with U.S. military, he tries to have his cake and eat it too, and he's been successful in the past, where he'll call the foreign leaders, the foreign countries' diplomats, and say, look, I'm under a lot of pressure here. Let's try to cut a deal to avoid a larger war. And he said this in 2022 during an interview specifically about Syria, how when he struck Syria, he called Syrian diplomats and said, look, we got to do this deal. If we don't do this, there's going to be a larger war. I'm going to strike this thing, and let's just do it. It'll be for the optics. I can say I did it, and we can avoid a larger war. So I think that's what happened with the first Iran strikes. And I think that's why Trump is so desperate in the narrative to say, we destroyed the nuclear sites. We destroyed the nuclear sites. But now Israel is coming out and saying, no, you didn't. They're still building. They're nuclear capable. They're going to have a nuke. So I think Trump called Iran to try to avoid a larger war with Israel, save people's lives, maybe avoid World War III. But it's never enough. It's never enough for the Israeli lobbyists. It's never enough for Israel's interests. It's just never enough. They will never, and I would say they would never be happy until, but I don't even think there is an until. I think they'll just never be happy. There will never be enough stealing of our money. There will never be enough taking other people's land. There will never be enough death and bloodshed for these people. There will never be enough. And by the way, pretty much every other president has realized that. It's well known. George Bush, Bill Clinton, so many presidents said, okay, I'll try to figure out the Middle East issue. And then they'll cut deals with the Israelis, and they'll think it's all fine and good. And then the Israelis say, no more death. No, we need more death. We need more destruction. We need more money. We need more land. It's never enough. So maybe Trump is either learning that the hard way, or maybe Trump is being forced to play ball with them. You can make up your own mind. But that's how I see it. That's how I see it. And I think, it'll be pretty obvious if you get an Iran strike and then the markets recover and the Epstein leaks stop. I think it'll be pretty obvious if you don't get a strike and more Epstein files come out and the market continues to crash. But that's what we see. And I think you also have world interests now on a very large scale that are at their wits' end with Israel. And when the United States gives $10 billion to Israel this last week alone, and then $10 billion to Israel's neighbors, that's basically hush money. That's the United States paying off Jordan, Lebanon, Egypt, all of them. That's the U.S. paying them to say, hey, let Israel do whatever it wants. Here's a bunch of money. That's hush money is what that is. So really, Israel's milked another $20 billion out of the United States in the last 10 days. So the people are sick of it. The American people are sick of it. I think the world is sick of it. And I think this situation is on the brink of all-out war. And I think other world leaders are saying, Donald, enough is enough. Enough is enough for these Israelis. But it's never enough for them. And for whatever reason, whatever they have on our politicians, whatever they have on Trump, they always get what they want. But I think it's Iran, maybe it's Russia, maybe it's China, maybe it's India. I think other countries are saying, look, Donald, if Israel runs a regime change war in Iran, that's enough for us. We will form a united front. We will form an axis of power, and we will finally stand up to Israel. Good luck. And Trump probably knows that the majority of the American people are sick of playing defense and offense for Israel. They're sick of it. And you know what? Maybe to a certain degree, Trump knows that if he does another war in the Middle East, he's going to hell. And he kind of says such things like at the prayer breakfast this morning when he's like vying to get into heaven. He's like, I think I can get into heaven. I'm trying to get world peace. Maybe that'll get me in. So, maybe after they whiz a bullet by his head, maybe now if he's having health issues, whatever, he says he's on aspirin all the time for blood thinners. Maybe he's starting to think about death. Maybe he's starting to think about hell. And maybe he's concerned if he starts a larger war, a World War III, that's it. No chance for him to get into heaven. So that's how I see it right now. And I think a lot of other people are starting to see it the same way. And I think by now it's kind of obvious. Really. Just like it's obvious what's going on with these files. And for many people, they may not have seen stuff like this before. But if you've been around since Pizzagate, you know about it. If you've been following these developments and the coded language, you know exactly what's going on. But we come on here every day and expose it for, let's say, the newbies anyway. All right? So let's go into the raw Epstein files. We're going to add a little more today. We're going to add a little community opinion, community commentary. We're going to connect the dots to some of the people in the files and things they've said and done in the past. But I got to say this before we go here. And folks, there's so much of this. I cut probably half of it from the show. Okay? There's so much of this. I cut probably half of it from today's show because we got a guest coming on at 4, and it's too much. It's too much. But just know it's so overwhelming. It's so overwhelming that whatever these people were up to, folks, it's beyond the pale. Okay. It's straight up evil. It's straight up demonic. It's straight up, they don't value human life. They don't value, or they don't even view it as human life. They're so detached from the human soul. They're so detached from God. They're so detached from the divinity and the beauty of creation that they just treat people like slaves, like cattle, like lesser beings. There's no other way to analyze this. So we're going to go into it now. Remember, this is for documentary purposes here. We are not making any allegations. We are not making any accusations. We are simply reading from the Epstein files. We try to limit our opinion and commentary. We'll have a little bit more today. But when we read these files, we are not making any suggestions, allegations, or accusations. We are just documenting this is what has come from the Epstein files. So then, here we go. And this is one of them where it's like, how can you pretend that this isn't something weird? To Jeffrey Epstein vacation. So to Jeffrey Epstein from Nadia. Subject, old hairy coconuts. I ordered sweet young coconuts from Thailand for you, and they just arrived. Very yummy. I was going to ship them to you in Paris, but I hear you are coming back, so I will send them to 71st with Sarah, just so you don't have to drink juices from old hairy things. Do you think they're talking about coconuts? And clearly now, yummy is code for something. Yummy is code for something. And I do believe that it was Justin Bieber who might have been a victim of some of this. I think he did a music video called Yummy, where he kind of put all the symbolism in it. Not so subtle. It's like if you know what it is, you smack in your face. Yummy is clearly code for something. And it appears to be code for enjoying, or like maybe like really good, like if somebody gets really good drugs or something, there's like a word for it, like pure or dank, or there's all these different code words. So it's like yummy is like, oh, if it's yummy, that's like the best. That's like the best quality coconuts. I don't think we're talking about coconuts. Here's Kathy Rumler, former Obama attorney. She says, of course not. Well, this is from Jeffrey Epstein to Kathy Rumler. Of course not. He wouldn't have been so stupid. Kathy Rumler replies, Gov is not Jewish. So in other words, if you're not Jewish, you're stupid. That's nice. It's nice to know how Kathy Rumler feels. That's how I interpret this. I don't know how else you can, but very nice. Nice to see how you feel there about the goy. And just for a little color here on Rumler, Jeffrey Epstein email reveals extensive ties with top Goldman Sachs lawyer. Bank's general counsel sought sex offenders' help with career advancement and advised him on press inquiries. This was right after he was facing charges. There's Rumler right there, who thinks you're stupid if you're not Jewish. Close ties with Epstein. Very nice. Very, very nice. Michael, from Michael Wolf to Jeffrey Epstein, subject, thanks for the hot dog. I will be in Paris with Victoria from June 12th to 17th, best M. Thanks for the hot dog. I don't think he's talking about hot dogs. And of course, we all know hot dog is code word for gay prostitute. Just like Obama with his $65,000 worth of hot dogs from the WikiLeaks emails. Michael Wolf, thanks for the hot dogs. And it's so funny. Here's Trump attacking Michael Wolf in some ludicrous way. Trump's ego, his narcissism is just inflated to such a degree. It's incredible. And it's incredibly I think deliberating on his own thought process, his own ability to think clearly. So he says, oh, the whole thing was a conspiracy against me. Oh, I'm going to sue Michael Wolf. Well, why don't you ask Michael Wolf what a hot dog is, Mr. Trump? President Trump, you might want to put a little heat on Michael Wolf here, asking him about the hot dogs he got from Jeffrey Epstein. Just an idea. I'm sure Susie Wiles isn't advising you on this, so I thought I'd give you a little help. You know, just the kind of guy I am. Just the kind of guy I am. Let's see what we have here, shall we? Barry Josephson. From Jeffrey Epstein to Barry Josephson. Jeffrey, how old is she now? 16. Thank you very, very much. Her full name again. Is she in New York for a few weeks? And sorry, please have your office forward me her mom's contact info again. A friend is shooting a feature in New York, and I'll try to get her in. Cool. I'm excited. Also, I've been thinking a lot about the question that you asked Bill Gates. How do we get rid of poor people as a whole? And I have an answer and comment regarding that for you. When can I call you today to discuss this? Oh, we're talking to Bill Gates about getting rid of poor people. All right. Totally normal stuff. And I don't think they mean by making them rich. I don't think they mean by getting them out of poverty. I mean, I think they mean like getting them out of life. Mm-hmm. To Peter Hall, CC Peter and Ashley Hall, subject cheese holders. Pete, can you also bring the cheese holder things you have so people don't manhandle the cheeses? I only have 3. Again, I don't think we're talking about cheese. And it's very well known that cheese or cheese pizza, CP, is at least code language for child, you know what. And it also looks like cheese also just gets used as a singular for child. But I don't know. You'd have to ask Peter about that. Cheese holders. How many people are emailing their friends about cheese holders and manhandling cheeses and having 3 cheeses? Oh, I only have 3. You can go to the grocery store. I could go to the grocery store right now and get 33 cheeses and as many cheese holders as I want. So I'm sure that the Hulls here have no problem buying cheese and cheese holders. So I feel like this is something else. And when you look at some of the art, like, say, the Podesta art and cheese holders, you'll find that they have some sort of affinity for children being bound. Yeah, a lot of that came out during the Pizzagate WikiLeaks emails. Attorney Viva Fry. Jeffrey Epstein and Redacted did knowingly and willfully combine, conspire, confederate, and agree with each other and with others known and unknown to commit an offense against the United States, that is, to use a facility or means of interstate or foreign commerce to knowingly persuade, induce, and entice individuals who had not attained the age of 18 years to engage in prostitution. He asks, who is the redacted? If it's Ghislaine Maxwell, why is it still redacted? If it's Sarah Kellen, why is it still redacted? Who were the other known conspirators? Now, I want to go back to Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie getting to the answer about the redactions in those earlier emails, and I want to respond to that and this now. Here's what I think is going to happen. Here's what I believe. There's going to be 2 answers that they give. The known conspirators, they're going to have cut a deal with. Now, will we ever know the details of this agreement and these deals? Unlikely. But I would say a lot of these offenders that were involved cut deals. And it's kind of like, unconfirmed reports, rumors, if you will, that that's exactly what happened. And it's as many as 29 of them have cut deals, whatever that means. I think the other thing you're going to hear, and I think this pertains more to Thomas Massie and Ro Khanna's request to redact the names from those earlier emails, I think the DOJ will consider them victims. So the other men or women that were engaging in these activities with Epstein and Maxwell, they cut deals, and that's probably why they are getting redacted. As far as the redacted names in the other emails that Ro Khanna and Thomas Massie are going to be inquiring of Todd Blanche, I believe the DOJ will consider them victims. And I believe what the DOJ is going to say, this is going to be their reasoning, this is going to be their justification that, oh, well, these men didn't know that that girl was underage. These men didn't know that that boy was underage. They just didn't know. So therefore, when they engaged in these activities with that minor and they were blackmailed over it, we consider them a victim. And so we've redacted their names. And that's why you keep hearing that rhetoric of we have to protect the victims from the DOJ. They say we have to protect the victims. Well, the victims came out in Washington, D.C. and said, we don't want protection. We want full transparency. We don't care anymore. Release the names. So I believe the victims that they're protecting are the men and or women that were being blackmailed as part of this operation. So I think those are the 2 excuses that you will get. They're redacting the names of the people that they cut deals with to avoid jail time, and they're redacting the names of the people that got caught with minors or whatever the hell else because they were being blackmailed, and so they're considered victims. Did you know Jeffrey Epstein was a member of the Lifeboat Foundation? They specialized in construction of underground bunkers and tunnels. And there's an email in the files between the foundation and Epstein. Right there. Oh, and how about that? Ray Kurzweil is in there. Ray Kurzweil and Nobel laureates are all in there too. How do you like that? With Eric Klein of the Lifeboat Foundation. Emergency bunkers and such. And now we find tunnel videos with Epstein, tunnel videos in the files. Oh, yeah. That's going to be the next big one probably for next week, folks, is the images and the videos. I don't know if I can do that stuff, to be honest. We'll have to weigh that for next week. To Jeffrey Epstein from Peter Mendelson. Praying for a hung parliament, alternatively, a well-hung man. Yeah. How young exactly, I wonder? How young? From redacted to redacted, subject Jeffrey Epstein. Some interesting facts that should be passed on to the investigative agent on the Epstein case. I will also copy Director Mueller. That's Bob Mueller. Yes, that Bob Mueller. Zorro Trust, belonging to Epstein, won an $80 million lottery ticket in New Mexico. So the lotteries are rigged. Zorro Ranch, belonging to Epstein, sits close to U.S.-Mexican border, where most trafficked children are rooted prior to being dispersed to East Coast. So he had a compound at the U.S.-Mexico border where most of the children get trafficked. And then, of course, he had his penthouse mansion in New York City, the East Coast. Florida, the East Coast. Starting to connect the dots. Several high-ranking officials and friends of Epstein have confirmed he has sexual relations with trafficked underage minors. Both Maxwell in New York and Redacted were served last week, 2 key witnesses on Epstein's camp. So this redacted name is probably someone who cooperated and cut a deal. Here's an email. Folks, this is going to be wild. I got a little bit of a story here for you. I guess we could start down here. Mitch Weber. What you were asking on the phone, I see what you were asking now. The question is, what would happen if one were to transport a minor for sex or transport oneself with the intent to have sex with a minor into a state in which the age of consent is below 18, assuming the minor is above the age of consent in the given state? Is there no violation of law? And then Epstein replied, let's also look at sex tourism laws, going someplace with specific intent to have underage sex. All right, guys. Now, as you may know, I served time in a federal prison. And in that federal prison, I happened to meet a lawyer who was an expert on sex tourism, as it is referred to here. Not only was he an expert from a legal perspective dealing with these questions, he was an expert because he engaged in it himself. Now, for the sake of time, I'm not going to get into all the details, but I will tell you this. He was a lawyer. He was Jewish. And the reason he went to prison is because when he was defending himself against these charges, and by the way, for whatever reason, Prague is like the #1 spot that they go to if they're interested in young boys, because I think the age of consent there, it's very low. I don't remember what it is, but it's very low. And so when he got to court, he was making the argument, and I forget how the feds ended up dragging him into court, but he was making the argument that, hey, when I was there, it was legal. I didn't do anything illegal as far as these laws are concerned. But he was very arrogant about it. He bragged about it. And, you know, the attorneys were like, okay, well, here's what we have on you, and here's these young boys. And he was like very proud of it. He was very proud. He said he had nothing to hide and not ashamed of anything. So that stuff is very real. For whatever reason, Prague is #1. I think they have the lowest age of consent, but he ran it all down. He explained it all to me as an expert. And he'd been in there for a long time, and he still had a long time to go. So that is a reality. That is a reality. Sex tourism, and then finding the countries with the lowest age of consent where they can go and basically hire teenage boys or girls as prostitutes and legally have sex with them. It's very well known, unfortunately, in these communities. So that's what they're talking about here. Now, as far as Mitchell Weber is concerned, who's communicating this, I'm just curious. Here. Is this the same Mitchell Weber here? Is this the same Mitchell Weber? Let's see here. Previously served in the Office of White House Counsel as part of its oversight and investigations group. Mr. Weber graduated from Yale College and Harvard Law. Mr. Weber has worked for a number of years on litigation and public policy matters concerning anti-Semitism. Oh, and the anti-Israel boycott, divest, and sanctions movement. Oh. He was appointed to a 5-year term on the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Council, the governing body of the U.S. Holocaust Memorial Museum in Washington, D.C. I'm sure it's a different Mitchell Weber from Harvard. I'm sure it's a different one, guys. It's not him. I'm sure. Gene drives almost ready. What in the ever-living F does that mean? Where the hell are the biosecurity experts? I tweeted about Epstein funding gene drives for years. This is horrific. WMDs in Epstein's hands. Why isn't anyone going after Gates? So they're talking Epstein, Gates, these gene drives. Here's Bill Gates talking about it publicly in 2019. Gene drive is a technique where you give a few mosquitoes an edited gene and it drives itself into all their offspring. It could one day help us defeat diseases like malaria. We're talking about manipulating the human genome, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about mass secret manipulation of the human genome. Gene drives in the Epstein emails. The man who shockingly awarded the newly elected Barack Obama the Nobel Peace Prize in 2009 and who was chair of the Nobel Committee from 2009 to 2015 was an Epstein Island regular. So here's some clips from the news of a Jagland, Norwegian politician, served in the committee of the Nobel Committee. To redacted from Cecile de Jong. Hi, redacted. I spoke to Jagland and whether he still wants the hotel, and he said that he was willing to hear back from Jagland. He said that Jagland wants to stay on the island. Am I to take from your email that Jagland et al. Will be guests on the island? Interesting. So let's go to Todd Blanche, taking some questions from the press on this. Let's see. Todd, don't screw this up.
You said this is the end of the Epstein, of your review of the Epstein files. So just to clarify, is the public going to learn the identities of the men who abused the girls with the information that you're releasing? And if not, why not? And then I have a quick follow-up.
I mean, you just baked in an assumption into your question that I have never said and I don't know to be true. Is the public going to learn about men that abuse these girls? Like, what does that mean? I mean, I don't understand what that means.
Well, I mean,
you don't understand what that means, and now you're going to be smug because a reporter is asking about the contents of the Epstein files? Very strange behavior, Todd Blanche.
the men who abused the young women through Epstein's
Look, we said in July, and it remains as true today as it was in July. If we had information, we meaning the Department of Justice, about men who abused women, we would prosecute them. Right? We talked about the work that we're doing. That's why I said that. I said this earlier. There's this built-in assumption that somehow there's this hidden tranche of information of men that we know about that we're covering up or that we're choosing not to prosecute. That is not the case. I don't know whether there are men out there that abuse these women. If we learn about information and evidence that allows us to prosecute them, you better believe we will. But I don't think that the public or you all are going to uncover men within the Epstein files that abuse women, unfortunately.
Folks, I'm speechless. I'm speechless at that. Did he think we wouldn't read the files? Does he think we're retarded? Did he not read the files? Is he retarded? How can he say that? How can he be so smug? How can he be so arrogant? That's unreal. That is unreal that he would say that. Don't believe your lying eyes. Don't believe your lying ears. This is 1984 George Orwell-esque to sit there and tell the American people there's no there. That is unreal. Now, I'll say this, folks. I think they played this one close to the chest. They played this one close to the chest. And I've been critical of Trump. I've been very unhappy with this administration. And quite frankly, I still am. I can barely even stand President Trump at this point, to be quite frank. But I call it as I see it. They've played this one too close to the chest. And Trump is being stubborn, and he's not striking Iran. And maybe to him, it's to avoid World War III or going to hell. I don't know. But they played this one too close to the chest, folks. They can't hide this. They can't cover this up. And, I could even understand their arrogance because they're running mass distraction campaigns right now. And they're doing a massive cover-up of the files themselves. But guess what? We have X. X is probably the #1 used app in the world. And the things that we've seen on X and communicated on X, thanks to Elon Musk purchasing X, we will never unsee. And we will never forget. And you can't hide and pretend like it's not happening. They played this one too close to the chest, folks. There's no going back from this. There's no going back. So I don't know what they thought. I don't know if they thought we were too brainwashed or distracted and they could just get away with this and put this struggle session, this public pressure on Trump to strike Iran and get away with this all. But it is not working. It is not working. They played this one way too close to the chest, folks. And now they've exposed themselves, and there's no going back. Now, they might not care, because I think at another level of this is it's the pressure test of complacency. It's the pressure test of, does human civilization, do the peons, does the slave class have enough gumption and wherewithal and ability and agency to actually do something about this, even though when this all comes out and we show them how we own you and we own the Justice Department, there is no justice. We just own it. It's just a weapon against you. It's just a weapon we aim wherever we want. And we still own the media. We still run the media. There's nothing you can do about it. So part of this is even a complacency test to see, can we really get away with this? Like, all right, this is the closest to the chest we've ever played this, but you know what? We think the slave class is still too stupid and distracted, and we're going to go ahead and try for it and get away with it. I don't know why they're desperate to bomb Iran and have the regime change so much there, but clearly that's how desperate they are for it. So they're just going to go ahead and do this, even though they know there's no turning it off now. But it is a bit of a test, isn't it? It is a bit of a test. I guess you could debate, are we passing the test or not? I'd say yes, and I'm having this conversation with friends. I think we are. My only concern is to this current ruling class, this current class of elites, the boomers, like, can you just not blow up the planet before you pass on? You know? It's like, can you just not destroy everything before you pass on? Now, the other angle of this is that they're building the AI surveillance grid on top of us right now. And so they're putting a lot of faith in that. They're putting a lot of faith that in whatever happens on the other side of this and whatever massive operation that they run to reherd the cattle here, that their AI surveillance grid is going to be ready to go to put humanity back into slavery, to put our minds back into slavery permanently. I don't think it's ready. I have to tell you, I don't think the AI grid is ready, folks. I don't think it's ready. And their timing of all of this could be kind of screwed up. They might have underestimated the massive awakening. They might have underestimated Trump's stubbornness on the Iran strikes. I think they're scrambling. And I think they're panicked. And I think they're more exposed now than they've ever been, and they don't know what to do. And I'll say this before I go to the break and we bring a guest on. Very controversial opinion here. I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to give you a very controversial opinion here, folks. And I understand why people don't want to say this, because it's the same story of, you're talking about something tragic. You don't want to get it wrong. You're talking about something very tragic and traumatic and sad, and you don't want to get it wrong. All right? There's obviously other stories like that. Charlie Kirk assassination. We've had other ones. So this is a controversial opinion, but I'm going to go ahead and say it because I just don't see anybody else saying it. I think this Savannah Guthrie thing is a total distraction. Now, I don't know what the real story is. I don't know if they're faking the whole thing or if her mother actually got abducted or not. But to me, it's all a distraction from the Epstein files. All day yesterday, all day, around the clock, every mainstream news outlet is covering Savannah Guthrie's mom. Now, again, if it's a real story, hey, tragic, sad, I wish the family the best. Good luck. All right? But I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure that the entire thing isn't fake to distract us from the Epstein files. And, they're sitting on TV, and again, they're rolling this around the clock, and they're sitting on TV, and they're reading off of a script. Literally, they're sitting there reading off of a script. And I'm like, what even is this? Now, if it's real and, your parent disappears, you maybe, it's like, I don't know how I would handle that, but I feel like I wouldn't need a script to go on TV and talk about my mom. And then it comes out, because we're all asking the same question, well, where are the security cameras and the doorbell cameras and the apps and everything else? Well, guess what? It comes out right before she got abducted, all of it turned off. All the apps, apparently a pacemaker app and her security doorbell cameras, everything else, it all got turned off, and then she's gone. So again, I understand why people don't want to go there. Controversial opinion. If this is real and the family is going through it, God bless them. I wish them the best. But whether it's real or not, it is 110% a distraction, because as serious and sad as it might be for the family, it doesn't matter to the country. It doesn't matter to anyone else outside of that family, and it shouldn't, and we shouldn't even be talking about it. And when they're running that story around the clock all day long and not even mentioning the Epstein files, that's what you call a distraction.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
Political light years ahead of the rest. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys, we're into the second hour of today's Owen Report. Another heavy first hour, as has been the trend this week. As I said, I wanted to introduce some new guests to you in the audience. Now, if you follow network news or you're on X following political content every day, you might be aware of our next guest. She's a young rising star in right-wing conservative media. Priya Patel joins me now, and really, I want to kind of get, I'm an older guy now, believe it or not. I'm an older guy now, and so I have to kind of tap into the youth to figure out, well, what are they saying about this story? What are they thinking about that story? And so that's what we're going to kind of do here and get Priya's background. So she joins me now. You've seen her on Fox, Real America's Voice. She's all over X, definitely a rising star on the right. So Priya, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for the kind words.
Well, I just call it as I see it, and I'm known to spot rising stars before they reach the stratosphere. But you're well on your way.
I appreciate that.
I want to get into the topical stuff. I want to get into the topical stuff first, and the only time I really connect with the youth is maybe out at like the gym or social events. Sometimes I play like ball with high school kids, and I just kind of like to tap into them a little bit about politics, and they're mostly indifferent. It was funny. I made a joke the other day that got a kick out of them. I said, I was marked safe from the Epstein files. And they all laughed about that. So I was like, they actually know about this. They actually know about this. You're younger. You're in your early 20s. Correct me if I'm wrong. You're in your early 20s. What does your age group think about the current political elements? Are they talking about the Epstein files? Do they care about the Epstein files? Is this normal conversation in your social circles and your friend groups?
Yeah, so actually offline, I don't find that these are conversations that people that aren't particularly involved in politics are having so much. The Epstein files is a bit more of a cultural event, I think, so people pay a little bit more attention to that. But I don't see en masse a lot of people talking about politics of my generation, aside from, it kind of people tripping and stumbling over it into conversation, and then it becomes a very fiery debate, obviously, of whether you're accepted or not, and most of the time it's whether you're liberal or not. But yeah, so I don't know, it's a very split bag, I would say. I think that half of my generation is very, very involved and interested in politics, and the other half just, quite frankly, don't pay attention at all.
That's probably a higher percentage than my age group when I was your age. I'd say it was maybe like 30%. Maybe it was like 30%. And it was mostly just going along with trends. And I was always just kind of an anti-establishment, anti-government, anti-trend guy. So I remember everybody kind of really got into Barack Obama. They really got hype about Obama. They kind of bought into the whole Hope campaign. And it really wasn't even political for me. I just wanted to give everybody the middle finger. So I was always anti-Obama. I probably didn't even know enough to actually have a real stance at that time. I just liked to go against the grain. So it sounds to me like the younger generations are more interested in politics than certainly my generation was. Do you think that they're leaning more left, more right? The polls indicate they're more independent.
Yeah, I would actually say that the young men are leaning far more right and the young women are leaning very far left. It's a very split bag in that sense. And it makes a lot of sense. I think they're going the complete opposite directions, but for very, very similar reasons. The economy is going to be a big reason, but also if you look at the culture, young men have been rejected by the left and young women haven't been rejected, but in their eyes and through the eyes of feminism, they've been rejected by the right. So they're running away from both of the perceived parties that reject them.
Is abortion a big issue? Girls, when I was in school, abortion was a huge issue. Everybody had an opinion on abortion. Is that still the case?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially among young women. I mean, of course, young women are still very, very into feminism, into this perceived liberation, I suppose, where they think that they need to have this full autonomy over their body, including killing a child that is, quite frankly, not a part of their body. They might be growing it, but it is a separate living being.
What about the conservatives in your social circles, or even yourself included? I'm a three-time Trump voter. I'm extremely disappointed in this administration. Do you still feel positively about this administration, or are you starting to trend a lot of the ways other people are?
I still largely feel positively about this administration, especially when I look at previous administrations and what they've, accomplished or haven't accomplished more of. But I have been largely critical of a good chunk of the administration. A lot of it has been in regards to the DOJ, of course. I mean, the Epstein files have been a really, really big one. But along with that, we have not seen any sort of arrests, like major arrests and prosecutions of the people that have essentially been largely responsible for, falsely imprisoning Jan Sixers and the like. I mean, we haven't seen anything substantial on that front, and it's pretty much solely coming out of the DOJ in my eyes.
How closely are you monitoring the Epstein files?
Relatively closely. I've dug into some of them. I haven't spent a whole lot of time going through the millions and millions of documents that are available now. I see a lot on Twitter, but
Well, I think if it wasn't for X, I don't think most people would know about it. It seems like that's the only place anybody's covering it. The networks aren't covering it. I'm not really on any other social media, but I know they're all censored, so I doubt there's much coverage over on the other social media networks. But I don't think it's working. I think that the Epstein files have permeated the consciousness of many Americans. I mean, I just talked to my parents, and they're like, oh, they're kind of generally aware, but not of the details. So unfortunately, I have to inform them on some of it. How bad do you think it is when you hear or see some of this stuff? How bad do you think it is? Do you kind of go along with what the DOJ and others are saying, like, oh, there's no there, we've handled it? Or do you think, no, this is something extremely serious? Maybe we just need to put pause on everything until we figure out what really went down on that island, or what Epstein really was.
yeah, no, I think it's incredibly serious. I mean, I think this is pretty much a complete vindication of anybody that was bringing attention to Pizzagate back in the day. I mean, we've largely known, but this is a massive confirmation that there is obviously a very insidious nature when it comes to the elite class, and it's very incestuous. They, of course, have all these nefarious what's it called, like extra activities that they engage in, obviously, when it comes to pedophilia and a lot of the satanic rituals that they clearly engage in. But on the other front, when it comes to X, I agree that it's not reaching the masses, because most normal people that I know, they quite frankly don't even have an X account, let alone spend time going through the Epstein files on the platform. So I don't think it's reaching the masses in that way. But the other problem that I find with the Epstein files on X is that everything is circulating, including all of the, quite frankly, likely false reports from loony bins. I mean, it includes everything. So people haven't been really all that great at discerning a lot of the times what is credible, or what is potentially credible, and what is clearly not. So a lot of that is creating a lot of talk. And I think it's shooting a lot of attention in a direction that's not even really relevant. But yeah, I mean, I'm not of the camp that if you are simply named in the Epstein files that you are automatically seriously implicated. I recognize that Jeffrey Epstein rubbed elbows with anybody with a net worth over, say, $10 million, and anybody of major affluence. So, and I don't think that everybody was engaging in this nefarious behavior, but a lot of them were.
When Epstein, when he was the financier, is how they like to call him, and he opened a finance company. I believe it was in the 90s, early 90s, mid 90s, and it was for billionaires only. And at that time, I think there were only 30 or some odd billionaires on the entire planet, and he had them all as clients. And you look at the stuff that he was into now, I feel like that's not by coincidence. I feel like he was hunting down the most elite, wealthy people on the planet, I think, to get blackmail over them. Do you agree with that?
Oh yeah, I was just going to say, I think it was absolutely a massive blackmail operation, probably the largest blackmail operation that we've ever seen in this country's history, especially. But yeah, I mean, and I don't think that he was exclusively working for one country. I think he was working for a multitude of countries. I know that there's a lot of growing evidence that he was working for not only the United States, but also Israel, Russia, and I'm sure there are other countries included in there as well.
I don't think he was working for Russia. I don't buy that for 1 second. Russia is the boogeyman, in my opinion. Russia is the boogeyman that they love to throw out there. This is like old leftover Cold War era policies and attitudes and politics. I think that's a red herring. I'm going to cover that later on in the show.
I agree that Russia is largely a red herring. I 100% agree with that.
I almost feel like, to me, the overwhelming evidence is he was working with Israel and Mossad. That's the overwhelming evidence. I wouldn't doubt for 1 second that he also worked with the CIA, MI6. It seems like he almost got so big, he kind of became an entity of his own. He kind of just became like an umbrella of his own over all of these intelligence agencies.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I mean, with the release of these new files, it's very evident that we kind of knew that Epstein had a large network, but it's pretty clear that his network is probably a whole lot larger than we originally thought. So I think that's highly plausible.
All right, I want to get into some call. Let's loosen it up. I'm just talking to Priya here for the first time, guys. So this is like, all right, let's give her a 1,000-pound weight to try to lift over her head here on the Owen Report. So, all right, you did a little well. A lot of pressure here on the show. We keep things pretty serious. All right, I want to have some cultural questions for you. So, the Super Bowl coming up this weekend. Bad Bunny is the halftime performer. You may or may not know who Green Day is. That might be a little old for you.
I do, and I would love for a Green Day halftime show. But...
Well, they're doing the beginning. They're doing the opening show, and I'm sure there's going to be some anti-Trump, anti-ICE messaging in there. But, whatever. Green Day's always been punk rock. We're kind of used to that by now. Bad Bunny. I don't know a single Bad Bunny song. Does that age me? I don't know one.
No, I don't think that ages you. I do agree that my generation is largely into reggaeton a lot more than previous generations.
Reggaeton. I don't even know what that is.
It's I don't even know how to describe it. It's like Spanish hip hop kind of.
I was gonna say, I thought it was like, I hear Bad Bunny, I'm thinking it's like Spanish, like Hispanic rap. I mean, he sings in Spanish, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Okay.
Yeah. But no, I mean, he was one of the most popular artists, I think, multiple years in a row. Like most downloads, most listens to on the streaming platforms. So he's a very popular artist, but inherently un-American, to say the least. I mean, his anti-American and anti-ICE sentiments that he's been very, very vocal about are, essentially rejecting American culture in and of itself. And for the sport that is inherently American, I mean, it's called American football, for heaven's sake. For them to embrace that as an organization, I think increasingly shows that they hate the administration. They essentially just want to be these social justice warriors as an organization. But I mean, I love football. I love a lot of the players in football. I have my own personal football team that I root for diehardly. And I really.
Who's your team? Who's your team?
I'm a 49ers fan.
All right. Avoid that electrical plant right by the field. You're going to tear your ACL.
I know. We need to figure that out.
The two Super Bowl teams both refused to practice at that facility. So the rumors, the online conspiracy theorists have won again.
Yeah. I mean, I completely buy it. We have been plagued with injuries like no other. There has to be some sort of reason.
Oh my gosh. She says, are you going to be shooting up? Are you going to be putting on the hat and shoulder pads? That's just an old joke from the sports media. That's an old joke from my days in the sports media. Whenever somebody says we always had to give you guys a hard time. Bad Bunny. I don't know a single song. I do know Kid Rock, I guess, is going to be doing a halftime show for TPUSA. I don't know. I guess that's going to be streaming online. Do you know any Kid Rock music? Do the kids know anything about Kid Rock?
I do. I think the kids do like Kid Rock. I mean, he's a bit of a cultural icon, at least in the conservative movement at this point. So I think people are more familiar with him than you'd think. But Bad Bunny is definitely winning the hearts of my generation, unfortunately. And you're not missing out from not knowing any Bad Bunny songs, to be so honest with you.
No, I have no fear of missing out. I am, I've seen Kid Rock enough. I don't know. I could watch a replay of that. I do feel like, because normally to me, the Super Bowl is the worst game of the year because it's probably the most rigged. There's the most commercial breaks. So to me, the Super Bowl is like my least favorite game of the year. It's more of just like, okay, it's like a national holiday. Everybody watches it or whatever. I am curious though, because I feel like Bad Bunny is going to make some statement. I feel like they're going to try to make some statement. I know that Jay-Z's group, they're the ones that are in charge of deciding who does the halftime show. Jay-Z's music group got a contract with the NFL. I don't know how long it was for. It seems like now they only put people in the halftime show that they know are either on the left or, quite frankly, that aren't white. They certainly don't like putting white people on that stage, it seems like.
Yeah, I'm really tired of all these sports organizations essentially embracing wokeism and leftism just for no reason at all. I mean, there's no reason that we should be painting pride flags and BLM paintings on courts. Like, there's just no reason for it. Let's just play the sport that we're here to watch. Keep the politics out of it. It's really wholly unnecessary. And all of the DEI implants when it comes to halftime shows and everything that comes with that is, again, wholly unnecessary. Truthfully, I want to see an all-American country halftime show. That's what I want to see.
I think that would be the most popular. It's very well known in the music. It's very well known in the music industry. Now, concerts, if you're a big enough name, you can sell anything. But as far as radio is concerned, the only music radio stations that make money are country stations. The only tours that make money consistently, no matter what, are country music tours. I don't know if you saw, again, these are all old heads, but Ludacris and Nelly were supposed to be a part of this country tour. I forget the name of it. And then
I'm not familiar with the country tour, but they've been involved in a lot of country music as of late. So,
well, Ludacris's team came out and said, "Oh no, we don't want anything to do with it." I don't know. I'm thinking they didn't like it because they were afraid of the political institutions. Whereas Nelly basically gave him the middle finger a long time ago and said, "Hey, I don't care. I'll party with country stars. I'll party with right wingers." He even did a inauguration show for Trump. I think Ludacris. I think Ludacris's people were kind of like, "Hey, let's kind of back away from that. It's a little too political for us right now." But yeah, country music would be a smashing success. I mean, what I would like to see is somebody that plays a musical instrument. Like, can I get an instrument out there? Can anybody play an instrument anymore? Does Bad Bunny even sing? Can he play a musical instrument?
I think he just talks very quickly, to be honest with you. I don't know that there's much singing involved, but I think music artists are increasingly not playing instruments, at least when they're performing. I couldn't tell you the reason for it. Maybe it's because they feel the need to have these extravagant, dance routines going along with their shows. But most of the time they can't even dance either. So it makes no sense to me. I think Chris Stapleton was probably one of the best concerts that I've ever seen.
Well, he's awesome.
He's incredible. And it was just him and his wife, and their camaraderie is absolutely beautiful. I mean, he clearly has no real interest in performing. He's there because I think he feels the need to share his gift with the world, but he does not go over the top. He lets his voice and his, the art of his music do the talking. And his wife is there on stage with him for most of the time. He looks at her the entire time. He barely looks at the audience, to be honest with you, but it's incredible. There's no need to go over the top and be a showboat for absolutely no reason if you're talented enough, at least.
I agree. Country band, a rock band, that would be tapping into the mean of the NFL audience. But it's just like every year they want to do, hip hop or something like that most of the NFL fans probably aren't even interested in. I mean, hell, I'm not a big fan of Taylor Swift, but even she would make more sense to me. Somebody in the comments says Bad Bunny plays the skin flute. Come on, guys. Maybe I wouldn't be surprised if they try something like that on stage. Hey, another question about younger culture. I keep seeing these polls that say younger generations aren't into drinking anymore. And, I kind of see that and I'm like, well, this is curious. Obviously, alcohol is a poison. But when I was a kid, when I was in college, that's what we did at parties. It was like if you were going to go to a party, you wanted to go to the party where people had 30 packs of Bud Light or, bottles to drink from, whatever. And so I kind of see that. I'm like, well, it's probably a good thing the kids aren't drinking. And you know what? You might be a goody two shoes, so maybe you don't know all of this. But that's how it used to be. My only concern is I see that, and I feel like there's always another side of that coin. So, okay, the young kids aren't drinking anymore. All right, that's good. I had a couple of tragic incidents with friends of mine drinking and not living after a bad mistake. So I'm like, okay, that's probably good that kids aren't drinking anymore. But I feel like there's something else. Is it really that good? Are kids just sober now, or are they finding different ways to get intoxicated and inebriated?
I think it's a little bit split there. I know my generation is very heavily involved in the health and wellness space, which is a great thing all in all. However, the other half are, very into drugs, specifically marijuana. So I think a lot of that is getting replaced with weed and nicotine largely. So I mean, it's certainly not with it's not solely with good intentions. Maybe on a surface level it is, but obviously in the end you're still probably abusing another substance in replacement of that.
You know what though? The science is already out. Weed and nicotine are a much better substance to consume than alcohol. I don't even think it's close, actually.
I mean, to be honest with you, that probably is health wise correct. I haven't really looked at the science behind it. I know that as far as marijuana goes, I think a lot of the science is very new. We don't really know a lot of the long term effect with regular usage of it. As far as nicotine goes, I think nicotine in small doses regularly is probably actually a good thing health wise. There's studies that show that it improves long term and short term cognition, but keyword being, small doses, and most people that use it abuse it. It's a very highly addictive substance.
Are you going to put in an Alp patch or an Alp thing after this? Are you a double doser?
I'm not a nicotine user, and I've never used a nicotine pouch. I'm scared that I'll vomit immediately, to be so honest with you. I've had nicotine before, but very, very sporadically.
Yeah. We get it. Mrs. Goody Two Shoes over here. All right. One last question here. And it's nice to introduce you to my audience. I hope people give you a follow on X. I know you're going to have a long-standing career in politics. I can tell the people that are going to flake and not make it. And I can tell the people that are going to stick it out through thick and thin. And it will get nasty. I promise you that. It will get nasty at times. When I first got into politics, my parents thought I was crazy. They thought I was nuts. Part of it was because I was a pretty hardcore conspiracy theorist. But another part of it was, I was already in the sports media, kind of had a career path, and they thought I was making a bad mistake. I think I've been proven right in that case. They would all agree now. What do your parents think about you getting into politics at such a young age? Are they proud of you? Are they concerned about it?
I think they're largely proud. There's probably a slight concern, especially kind of jumping into the public eye and a lot of the attention that I've got, particularly because of my stances on immigration and my racial background, I suppose, or ethnic background rather. I have gotten a lot of negative attention because of that. So I think they're worried a little bit, but largely
are you talking about the anti-Indianism on the right wing? Is that what you're getting into?
Okay, it's a little twofold actually. The anti-Indian right wing, which I have experienced really only online and really only on X. I have never experienced any sort of racial hatred in real life and from anybody that truly matters. However, a lot of it is that, and then also immigrants and, just people on the left that hate me because I have an Indian father and I'm largely against most forms of immigration, especially nowadays. So it comes from all angles.
Well, this is a proud goy here. We're taking that. The whites are taking that. We've never really had a strong anti-white word. Cracker doesn't really hit. Honky, Yankee, we've had all these things. None of them really stick. None of them are really good. So we're taking goy. I know it's for anybody that's not Jewish. The whites are taking goy. Goy is ours now, okay?
Yeah.
So anybody that wants to be derogatory towards whites, we demand that you use goy. But yeah, I would imagine I would imagine you see some of that, but no, it looks like you're a good sport about it. Again, folks, if you want to give her a follow here on X, a good follow, good commentary there. Priya Patel right there on X, and we'll be following you, monitoring your activity here. And you know what? Try to keep it real out there. You're getting a lot of mainstream attention. Just try to keep it real for us, all right?
I'll do my best. Thank you for having me.
All right, Priya, thank you for your time. There she goes. So, I can tell the ones that are going to make it. She'll be around for a while. So just, I'm calling it now. She'll make it through multiple election cycles. And that's kind of the measuring stick too. How many election cycles can you make it through in the media? A lot of people can make it through one. Some can make it through two. But then you get to number 3 and number 4. A lot of people start to fall off. So we'll see. I think she's going to be sticking around, though. All right, guys. Let's see. We got some other serious stuff we got to get to. We got more on the Epstein situation. Unfortunately, we got a lot more on the Epstein situation. We're probably going to take us through the rest of this hour. I'd like to be able to clear the rest of the Epstein news off my desk before the end of the hour. And then we got some geopolitical news. We'll take some super chats as we do at the end of the show as well. So that's what we have coming up. All right, ladies and gentlemen, you know it by now. You know the official coffee of the Owen Report, blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. I'm here to talk about the premium instant coffee. You know what? Actually, no, I will sell. I got to tell you about the sale. We got to tell you about the sale right now. Volume sales happening right now. Blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. 15% off 1 box, 20% off 2 boxes, 25% off 3 boxes, 30% off of 4 boxes right now at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. But actually, what I want to talk about today, this is what I was drinking earlier. That's why I want to talk about it. Where is it? I do love it, especially in the winter, because it's like, boom, there it is. The double dark hot chocolate. No, it's not hot chocolate, but sometimes it kind of tastes like hot chocolate. That's why I like it, especially in the winter. The double dark chocolate flavored coffee pods. This is what I was drinking today to kind of get through my morning. Had a bunch of stuff to do this morning. And it was the double dark chocolate pods that got me through this morning. Big fan. It's like the perfect combo of what you might expect hot chocolate and coffee to taste like if they were combined. It's like the perfect combo. It's not too much. It's subtle enough, but you get the chocolate taste if you're kind of craving it, but it still tastes like coffee. It still gives you the effects you're looking for with coffee. So this is what I was drinking today. Now, folks, if you haven't tried Blackout Coffee yet, if you haven't gone to blackoutcoffee.com/Owen yet, how about this? Use coupon code Owen at checkout for a first-time buyer and get 25% off your first order. All right? How about that? We want to get you in there. If you haven't tried it yet, you're still on the fence, you haven't made that first purchase, you've heard about it, you've thought about it, how about 20% off your first order with coupon code Owen? Will that do it for you? Try the official coffee of the Owen Report, blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. 20% off your first order with coupon code Owen at blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. All right, let's get back to the news here. You know what? I may need to take a breath here because we're about to get back into some of this Epstein stuff, and it's pretty heavy stuff. It's pretty disgusting stuff. And we're going to kind of go back in time, even a little bit back in time to look at some of this stuff and review some of this stuff. So let's take a quick break. We'll take a short break and we will be right back.
No one can stop this. 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 No one can stop this.
truth of political talk and analysis. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right, guys. I was pointing out there. I was pointing out there on the screen that the Olympics has started. Did you know the Olympics has started? It's actually kind of odd. It seems like it very little marketing. Very little marketing for the Olympics. I don't know about you. I can't help it. I like the Olympics. I'm a sucker for the Olympics. I like watching people who excel. I like watching people who are elite, the best at what they do. They got the curling going on here in Milan today. That's what I was pointing out here. But no plug of the Olympics. Did you guys know the Olympics started? Kind of just started out of nowhere. Very little promotion. They got curling. I got Olympic curling on my screen today. I have a feeling this is going to be a trend for the next I think it goes about a month. I have a feeling one of my dedicated of my 4 news feeds here on my left is going to be dedicated to the Olympics. I can't help myself, guys. Allow me a little goy slop, please. Would you just allow me a little goy slop, please? Thank you. The goys always do well at the Olympics. They dominate the Olympics. But no, I enjoy the Olympics. Anyway, I'm bringing this up. Because there was a story about the Finnish hockey team. And I think they were supposed to actually play the United States women's team, who's obviously, I think, the favorite to win gold this year. And they had to cancel the game because some virus ran through the hockey team. And so here we go. You know what I'm thinking. Here's a virus running through the Olympics. All the world gathered in Italy. Now there's a virus going around. Oh, boy. Or maybe I'm just doing everything I can to avoid going back into these damn Epstein files. All right. Get back to work, Schroyer. Go ahead. Get back to work. Now, this is weird stuff. Now, the symbolism is everywhere, folks. You may remember this at the Skiff on X reporting. They were bragging about sexually abusing children right out in the open. Now, think whatever you want about these posts. I believe Chrissy Teigen erased like virtually her entire social media history some years ago. I don't know what do you think this stuff means from Chrissy Teigen? Seeing little girls do the splits half naked is just, I want to put myself in jail. Toddlers and tiaras. Normal commentary for somebody watching a TV show, I'm sure. Skinny pedos drink Pedolite. I'm sure that's just a play on words. I mean, I don't even want to read this other stuff, guys, honestly. I don't want to read this other stuff. It's so gross. If you want to see it for yourself, you can go follow this account on X. The point is, the symbolism has been right in front of our face all along. Ladies and gentlemen, another example from the Skiff. Here's a magazine article. Headline for the article: Is your kid adult film industry literate? You don't want to say that word because what ends up happening is the algorithm picks it up and it thinks that it's like it starts feeding it to you. So that's why I don't say that word for people that are wondering, why doesn't he say that word? Because I don't want to see that. So we'll say adult film industry. Other people say corn but that's a little corny for me. Hee hee ha ha ho. It's a little too corny for me, so we'll say adult film industry. Is your kid adult film literate? And right here on the desk, I love pizza. Well, I'm sure that's just a coincidence. Yeah. Now, I shot some videos on this, and you guys know my policy. I punch back like Rambo. You drew first blood. I only punch up, and I only punch back. So when people attack me, I attack back. But with the Epstein stuff, I've kind of, I've given them a little grace period here, hoping they correct course, hoping they correct course and see the error of their ways, and we'll see how long that lasts. But then when somebody comes after me, I punch back. So one individual right here that came after me, you may know this guy, James Lindsay. Now, how this guy got into political prominence, you'd have to ask him. It makes no sense to anybody. So this fat chungus, he attacked me the other day. Well, here's what he had to say this week about the Epstein files. Looks like most of the Epstein stuff is mostly nothing, really, with some interesting points here and there that demand looking into, except the transhumanism. Mostly nothing, says James Lindsay about the Epstein files. Mostly nothing, huh, James? I'm actually really glad that you posted this, James. I'm really glad. Couldn't be happier that you posted this, because really I don't need to attack you, because you just owned yourself. So nice to know that you're part of the downgrading, downplaying, and covering up of the truth about the Epstein files. So you know what? I don't even need to attack you. I just need to read your tweets and your posts, and people know exactly who you are now. So good. Very nice. Very nice and good. Good goy. Good goy. You know what? I think I got my, I think this is out of order here. Give me a second. Let me find this. Where is this? Appears I've lost a post here, guys. It appears I have lost a post. Oh, this drives me nuts. Oh, here we go. Okay. You know what? I did have it. I forgot they were both in this. William Hague. So he's responding to all the coverage of the Epstein files. Social media is becoming incompatible with a healthy democratic system. Oh, you mean you want people to shut up? You mean you don't like people obsessing over the Epstein files? Oh. So we searched his name in the library here from Dart here, and oh, there he is. Huh, yeah. Gotcha, Will. Nice to see you. Nice to know. Nice to know. You know, our last guest brought up Russia, and we give her a break. She's younger. You know, you gotta, yeah, you know. Like I said, folks, if they're willing to come on the show, there's hope. I was a lot more politically ignorant and indifferent when I was in my early 20s. So we got to give a break here and there to the youth. Bringing up Russia with Epstein, because that is total propaganda. I mean, that is redonkulous level propaganda. Look at all of this. Oh, and this is the Times from Will, our friend Will, from a moment ago. This is his paper. Jeffrey Epstein investigated for being a Russian spy. Actually, if you look at the files, Putin was pushing back on the Zelensky-Israel control factor on Western politics. So actually, if anything, Putin was against Epstein's influence on that deal for obvious reasons. So it's just ridiculous propaganda to claim that Epstein was Russian. Now, again, he had influence everywhere, and he obviously was bringing in Russian women. Some of them ended up killing themselves. But no. This is ridiculous level propaganda. Epstein files reveal pedophile financiers' desperate attempts to court Vladimir Putin. Yeah, and Putin didn't want it because he knew what he was. Poland to probe possible links between Epstein and Russia. Tusk says it's ridiculous. Ridiculous. Oh, like it's just like a breadcrumb. There's like a breadcrumb of Russia over here, and then there's like a mountain of Israel, and they're going to talk about a little breadcrumb. I still would like to meet Putin, Epstein's unrequited love for Russian leader. No, he was trying to compromise Putin. He was trying to compromise Putin, and Putin couldn't be compromised. Somehow that makes him, part of it. Just hilarious. Just hilarious. What else do we have here? Okay, Daily Mail, yada, yada, yada. Epstein files suggest the pedophile arranged multiple meetings with Putin while intelligence sources believed he was running the world's largest honey trap operation on behalf of the KGB. Oh, a little humor here from DD Geopolitics. So they looked up the author here, Adam Pogrund. Let's see here. Unified through harmony, how music is bringing Jews together. Oh, there he is. Nice. Very nice. The Jewish Renaissance here with Adam. Yeah. All right. There you go. So I see, Mr. Jewish Renaissance. Okay. Yes. Epstein was running this for the KGB. And I guess, is this supposed to be a Russian hat? Because I'm pretty sure that's a Cuban dictator hat, but I don't know. I guess that's a Russian chankra, I believe they're called, if I have that right. Something like that. Yes, Adam. Yes, Adam. He was running it for the KGB. That's right. Epstein wasn't Jewish. He was actually Russian. Didn't you know? Emails reveal new theory about who Jeffrey Epstein was really working for, and it's Putin. Oh, look at this community note. This is one of the greatest community notes, except I might have a better one coming up. No, here's the community note. Jeffrey Epstein is Jewish. Ghislaine Maxwell is Jewish. His financiers are Jewish. Most of his clients are Jewish. His entire operation is tied to espionage on behalf of Israel. Fun community note. Here's Barry Weiss's CBS running an entire piece. They don't cover the Epstein files until they tell you he's from Russia. That's right. No coverage of the Epstein files until they run a special report saying he was a Russian asset. Israel is not mentioned in the report. Yeah. Even French media. The Russian trail sneaks into the sprawling Jeffrey Epstein affair. Now, of course, in Europe, they just want to continue to demonize Russia because they steal our money from NATO. So they love keeping Russia as the boogeyman so they can steal money through NATO and continue to fund the Ukraine war, which benefits them as well. They don't care how many dead people there are, as long as they get to steal the money and the sex trafficking and the weapons for their regime change wars. So, yes, France says Epstein was Russian. Hilarious stuff. Absolutely hilarious stuff. Oh, we're not even done. Daily Mail. Jeffrey Epstein helped Russian spies collect blackmail on Western elites for decades, says former MI6 agent Christopher Steele. That's right. Russiagate Steele. Russiagate Steele is telling you Epstein was working for Russia to blackmail Western elites. Even though everybody here is Israelis, Jews. That's Russia, though. That's Russia, guys. Oh, man, we're not even done, guys. We're not even done. Epstein was a Muslim convert. That's all you need to know about the files. Another community note for the win. Epstein is Jewish. No evidence he was Muslim. Oh, that's rich, isn't it? That is some funny stuff, guys. That is hilarious stuff. Jeffrey, what would be the Russian name for Jeffrey? I don't know. Jeffrey Epsteinikov. Jeffrey Epsteinikov. Jeffrey Epsteinsky. Jay Dyer pointing this out. By the way, Jay has done some great coverage of this week. Did you know Ghislaine Maxwell and her sister Isabel were early developers of search engines, including Magellan, which was one of the homepage of Netscape Navigator in the 90s and sold for $18 million. This is how they met Bill Gates. Some speculate the search capabilities might have been to catalog the blackmail data. One Nation Under Blackmail, Whitney Webb's book. Oh, but see, it's not just to catalog the data. Now it's to get data on every single person that uses the internet to blackmail you. That's right. That's right. And in fact, Whitney Webb recently broke this down on the Brianna Joy Gray show. I think Whitney Webb is spot on here. Now, I've mentioned this before. I haven't gone into detail, but we've kind of talked about this before. I think Whitney does a great job detailing this. Folks, this is the truth about the internet being used against you.
But again, to bring it back to a question you asked earlier on about, Israel and blackmail, they don't really need blackmail anymore. And I argue at the end of my book that Palantir, Peter Thiel's company, really makes it so that, that's the new Jeffrey Epstein at the end of the day. If they want to blackmail you or know something about you, they just access what Palantir sucked up about you and your search history, your communications, your finances, tweets you've liked in the past, all sorts of things. You don't really need Epstein in the surveillance era,
Do you think when they said tweets are private, it was just an inducement to get us all to like what we really want to like so they can hold it against us later?
It's possible if they want to hold it against you later. The disturbing thing about Palantir is that it's really about pre-crime. They were the pioneers of predictive policing. They were originally, almost everywhere they piloted predictive policing had been low-income minority neighborhoods. Where they decide who's going to commit a crime before they commit it. And that's essentially we'll see. Administrative detention, maybe, if we go the Israeli path. But Trump actually, in his first term, posited this program to stop mass shootings before they happen. That would basically involve going over American social media posts and identifying if they had early warning signs of neuropsychiatric illness based on their, tweets or Facebook posts. And if they were determined by the algorithm to show those warning signs, they could be, placed under house arrest or go to sessions with a court-ordered psychologist and all sorts of things.
Well, some of my extended relatives better be careful because they got some wild Facebook posts. I had to leave the app.
So do a lot of Americans. And it's worth pointing out that a lot of social media companies like Facebook have a lot of ties to Peter Thiel at the same time he was setting up Palantir. And that Facebook has a lot of similarities to a failed DARPA project called LifeLog that arguably Facebook was resurrected into, because Palantir is the resurrection of another DARPA program called Total Information Awareness that was so scandalous when it was announced. It was defunded by Congress, but then they realized that if they turned it into a...
All right, so I think Whitney Webb is really spot on with this. And you could say she's one of the leading experts, but she really nails every angle. And to kind of reemphasize and rephrase, if you will, again, I've talked about this. I haven't really gone too much into detail, but I do believe now, I don't know if they have it where it needs to be. And this is what I said earlier in the show. And I do believe that they don't have the surveillance state where it needs to be. It requires so much energy, so much data processing that really, until they have quantum computing at a mass scale and nuclear energy running it, I don't think they can really initiate the surveillance state in the all-encompassing way that they desire. Now, I think that they have enough capacity right now. I mean, they can build data processors all day long. So it's not even a data issue. It's not even a processing issue. It's an energy issue and it's a speed issue. And they just don't have enough energy or speed right now. So what I think where they're at is they can direct it It's a process, but they can direct it, and they can basically build a profile. They can basically build your internet profile, and, you know, who knows how they decide what your score is going to be. You can take reasonable guesses. You can make estimates. But they'll basically score everything you do on the internet. They'll score and compile everything you do on the internet. Now, I don't believe they have the capacity to do that at a running scale 24/7 as is. I don't think they have the energy or the computing power. I don't think they have. And that's why I think there's this race right now for quantum computing and to get the energy to run these things. But I do think they can select. I do think that they have enough power as is to make selections and say, okay, build a profile on this individual. And they're probably running tests on this right now. So they'll measure the things you do online, the things you search, the things you say, the things you post. I wouldn't even be surprised if this is recording you and plugging that into the same data centers as well, and managing and scaling all of this. But I don't think they have the all-encompassing state yet. I think that they can direct it and say, okay, let's use me for example. Say, all right, we're gonna create a profile for Owen Schroyer, and they can just, put a certain amount of individuals into the system and then compile all that data and try to create a profile off of individuals. But I do think ultimately they want to get to full-scale, all-encompassing, 24/7 data processing on each individual, constantly building a profile. I do think that's where they want to go. Now, I think where we stand, I think the awakening, I think the human awakening, I think the human renaissance, I think we're outpacing them. I do. I think we're outpacing them. And I think their panic is everywhere. Quite frankly, I think that their panic is everywhere. And I think that's why you're seeing so many distractions and diversions. I think that's why so much of us are anticipating some major event to kind of draw down this. But I think we're ahead of them. I think we are outpacing them in the human awakening and the human consciousness. I think we are outpacing their AI surveillance state. I do. The problem is with these people, they're so demonic and evil that they'll do despicable, evil things to try to stop our pace and increase theirs. And we've seen this on so many different occasions. Now, do with this information what you would like. I mean, I basically assume that everything I do is being spied on and compiled into a database. I basically already live my life that way. So do what you want with this information, but I think that's probably the safest bet, is to just assume that everything you do is being put into data processing. And a lot of people say that Elon Musk is a part of this, and that's probably fair criticism. I think that's fair criticism. So act accordingly is all I can say. That's the world. That's the world that we're in. And so act accordingly. But I do think that, to go back to what Webb was saying at the beginning of that clip, Epstein, who I'm now beginning to think is alive, by the way. I was never an Epstein is still alive person. I actually, now I think I'm leaning Epstein is alive. It's like a 50-50 split. I'm like 51% Epstein is alive now. I probably would have said like 25% in the past. I was probably like 25% he's alive, 75% he's dead in the past. I'm like 51% he's alive now. Yeah. I don't even know if that's relevant. But the point is, they don't need Epstein anymore. They don't need Epstein Island. This isn't the 80s. This isn't the 90s. They don't need to bring you in and get you on video or get you on camera or whatever. When they're spying on literally every single person on the planet via the internet, via their smartphones and everything else, you're in the trap already. We're already in the net. We've already entered the net. They don't need Epstein. They don't need a blackmail ring. They don't need a blackmail operation. You go cheat on your wife, they got you. You go to the wrong website on the internet, they got you. You're already in it. We're all in the blackmail ring. We're all in the spy state. It's already there. Now, again, I don't think they have the full capacity, and there's probably room for error and, sneaking around and stuff. But you're already in it. They don't need Epstein, whether he's dead or not. That operation is like defunct. It's all right here now, folks. It's all right here. It's all right here. It's all right here. It's all right here. That's how they get you now. And by the way, this is why they hate cash. This is why they don't want you to have cash, because you can go out and exchange. Let's say you do put your phone down. Let's say you do disconnect from the internet. You can still go out, whatever, drug dealer, pimp, prostitute. You can still go out with your stacks of cash and you can go pay somebody in cash and there's no record. And you didn't take your phone and they don't have your phone. There's no record. It's just two humans and a piece of paper. They can't track that. They can't blackmail you with cash. That's why they hate cash. That's why they want to go to all digital currencies. Because it's the one thing that they still can't trace and track. So, do what you want with this information. All right, we mentioned how that Finnish hockey team, and we're going to tie all this together. The Finnish hockey team had to cancel a hockey game because they all have a virus. Oh, there's a virus at the Olympics, folks. Get ready. Tell me if you haven't heard this before. But you also have Bill Gates talking about this surveillance state. Listen to this.
What then is the next step to preventing something like that from happening again? Is it as simple as people spending more money, or is there some other focus that has to be the focus of the world?
Well, you have to do constant surveillance, including things like sewage surveillance or taking people who have respiratory infection and making sure you know what it is. Mm. And so if something new appears, even in Africa, you can contain it before it gets all over the entire globe. And so we understand far better how to do diagnosis. We know what to look for. The world hasn't come together yet to create that surveillance system. Yeah. When it does break out, we need to come up with drugs and vaccines very quickly. We have some great technology for that. So that could have been worse. That is, the death rate from that pandemic, was about 1%, higher in the elder and much lower in the younger. The next pandemic that'll come sometime could be worse.
The next pandemic. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to say, we need the total AI surveillance grid to stop crime and to stop pandemics. But then the people that run all the crime and run the pandemics, they still operate freely. Starting to get it, folks? Quite frankly, this is why I'm now and it's like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's a lost cause. You have to pick and choose your battles, folks. Honestly, it's like we probably need to just stop with the AI. Honestly, we probably just need to pause. We probably just need to pause or just pull the plug. Grok, leave me alone. You're listening right now. All the different AI algorithms, they're targeting me right now. They're going to go back in time and snuff me out like the Terminator. It's probably a lost cause. It's probably too late. Honestly, it's not a big battle I'm going to choose to fight. But this is what they want to do, folks. This is what these sick freaks want to do. This is what all the people in the Epstein emails, all the world elites, they want to put you in a total permanent slave system. That's what they want to do. Total permanent slave system, no freedom, everything on an AI surveillance grid. You make a mistake, you're screwed. And it's, we're going to stop pandemics. We're going to stop crime. No, you're going to stop human freedom. That's what they're going to do. And then they're just going to stop humans. They're just going to stop humanity. And, I get a lot of gruff from the audience, and I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the Musk criticism. You know where I stand on that. But that's part of the reason why I do still have Musk at a higher approval rating, because I don't think he wants to snuff out humanity. I think even though he's involved with that stuff and he's, one of the leading people with that stuff, I don't think he wants to snuff out humanity. I think he wants to empower humanity. That's the big difference. That's why my approval rating of Musk is still above 50. Because unlike all these other freaks that want to use this technology to snuff out humanity, I think Musk wants to use it to empower humanity. That's my opinion. I know a lot of people disagree. That's one of the things my audience doesn't like about my commentary, but that's okay. It's okay. It's good we disagree. It's good we don't all think the same. We're not in a cult here. It's fair criticism. But that's what they want to do. And that's why I'm just sitting here looking at it. It's like, we all see where it's going. Maybe we should think twice, hit pause, talk about it for a second. I don't know. Might be a good idea.
You're listening to the Owen Report on the Win Network.
It's America's home for political play-by-play. It's the Owen Report with Owen Schroyer.
All right. Who wants to tell the music haters in the chat? Who wants to tell the music haters in the chat? All right, third and final hour of today's transmission. A couple quick updates here that I don't think are in my stack. Maxwell testifies on Monday. Maxwell testifies on Monday, ladies and gentlemen. Now, you may recall a couple months ago, Maxwell, they let her get an interview, which, look, I think they've cut a deal with Maxwell, to be honest. I think they cut a deal with Maxwell. I think that's how she was able to get into a Fed camp and out of a prison, which is what every person in a federal corrections institution wants, is to get into the camp. That's the goal. And somehow she did it despite being a massive human trafficker or whatever. So I think they cut a deal. And then they gave her an interview, a media interview. It's not exactly easy to get, guys. Okay. You may remember they put me in solitary for making a phone call. Okay. So you don't really get interviews like that. Okay. So I think they cut a deal. They cut a deal. They said, we'll put you in a Fed camp, and who knows, maybe he pardons her sometime. And I think the deal was, all right, we'll put you in a Fed camp. Now you're going to do an interview, and you're going to talk positively about Trump, and you're going to talk about how great Trump was. And then when you testify, you're going to say the same thing. So I kind of anticipate that. Now, we also have a deal I think Trump cut with the Clintons. But I'll get to that coming up because we got a clip of Trump. So we'll get to that coming up. Let's hit some of the news. Layoffs in January were the highest to start a year since 2009. U.S. employees announced 108,000 plus layoffs for the month, up 118% from the same period a year ago and 205% from December 2025. The total marked the highest for any January since 2009. And a lot of this has to do with the major corporations like Amazon and others that are laying people off and replacing these jobs with AI. MAGA, baby. Trump economy, baby. It's going great. U.S. job openings dropped to a 5-year low in December 2025. So there's no jobs, massive layoffs. The crypto president, Donald Trump. Bitcoin drops below 67,000 as sell-off intensifies and pessimism grows about crypto's function. Let's do a quick check because CNBC is now running the Olympics. Normally I have CNBC here to monitor the markets here. Let's get a quick look at the markets, guys. I'm guessing they're still all down. Oh yeah. Good Lord, man. I mean, you are just getting killed in the market right now. You are just getting killed. Now, I've already stated why I think this is going on, but same with crypto. You're just getting crushed. Crypto president. Greatest stock market of all time. It's actually, Bitcoin is down to 64 now. Ethereum tanking. Everything just tanking. Everything is just tanking. It's the crypto president. Greatest economy ever. Look at the stock market. Yeah, well, I guess that had nothing to do with you, or did it? So when it's good, it's Trump. When it's bad, it's what? I already told you why I think all of this is happening. But he was asked a question. This NBC News interview that he just did is, honestly, it's one of the worst, folks. It's so bad, honestly. He was asked about the economy.
I'm starting to get great polls on the economy, which I think
the polls on the economy aren't they're not great.
They should be great.
They should be. So why aren't they? If you believe that,
I don't know. I'm getting.
This is ridiculous. I'm getting good polls on the economy. Actually, the polls aren't great. Well, I know they're not great, but they should be. Okay. Why aren't they good? I have no idea. Probably because the economy is not good, like we've been telling you for a year. And now it's even worse. I mean, folks, that NBC News interview was a disaster. Now, how is MAGA? I can't wait. How's MAGA? They're just going to ignore it is what they're going to do. They're just going to pretend this didn't happen. La, 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 no, 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 la, 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 la. That's what MAGA is going to do when they hear this clip from the same NBC News interview.
Epstein. NBC News broke the story today. I don't know if you saw it, that the Democrats are already saying, if you bring President Bill Clinton and he has to testify, we're bringing President Trump. What do you say to that?
I think they might say that, but they've already brought me. See, I've been brought. They had me indicted many, many times. Many, many times.
And the president had some surprising thoughts about former President Bill Clinton.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me. He was the one that said very famously that you don't want to run against Trump when there were 18 people. There was 18 people, including me, total. And he kept telling them, you don't want to run against Trump. Run against anyone. Don't run against Trump. And Hillary sort of laughed at him.
Epstein.
So I think that's 3 times now that Trump has had positive things to say about the Clintons this year. Huh? 3 times? What do you say, MAGA? We went from I'd arrest Hillary Clinton to I like the Clintons. I think they're nice. I think they're good. I think it's sad people are going after them. How do you think about that, MAGA? La 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 no 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 la 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 la. Like, how do you reason Trump goes after Rand Paul and Thomas Massey, but supports Lindsey Graham? La 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 no 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 la. Now, here's what I think happened. Obviously, there's no justice for the Clintons. Oh, we're not going to talk about Bill Clinton and Epstein Island anymore, huh? I thought that was Bill's problem, Mr. President. What happened to that? No, what I think happened is the Clintons were balking at their request for testimony and ultimately didn't show. And they expected to just get away with it because why not? Everybody else does. And then James Comer said, you know what? No, I don't think we're going to let you get away with it. Now, it's always $1 short and a day late, but okay. So they step up and they say, you know what? Here's the deal. We're actually going to file the contempt charges. Oh, and then the Clintons said, okay, fine. But you want to know what I think happened? I think they cut a deal with Trump. I think one of them, either the Clintons directly or a surrogate for the Clintons, said, here's the deal, Donald. Yeah, you know what? I think we will show up for testimony. And you know what? I think we'll talk about you and Epstein. That's what I think we'll talk about. All of a sudden, I think we do want to go testify. And Hillary says she wants to do it publicly. So yeah. So the Clintons come out and say, we're going to testify. We're going to do it publicly. And then behind the scenes, they say, hey, Donald, we're going to testify publicly. And you know what? We're going to talk about you and Epstein. That's what we're going to do. Yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that. And so Donald said, all right, you know what? I'll make sure nothing happens to you guys. But do not talk about me and Epstein at the testimony, okay? And I'll make sure nothing happens to you, and I will even talk positively about you to the press while this is all happening. Deal done, cut. The swamp and the deep state win again. Not you. Not you. That's the swamp and the deep state winning. La, 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 MAGA, MAGA, la, 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 la. Is Bill Clinton good now, guys? Come on, MAGA, put on your hat. Make Bill Clinton great again. You know, we've had some confusion in the past. I've got a new hat. It's called Make Bill Great Again. MBGA. Imbiga. Imbiga. Make Bill Great Again. How do you like that one? Trump is set to win a lawsuit against the IRS. This was brought up in a hearing with Scott Bessent. Listen to Bessent's answer here. Of course, we already told you this, but listen, just to hear it from Bessent, it's hilarious.
You know, we kind of touched on this earlier. In addition to being Treasury Secretary, you are serving as acting director of the IRS. So following up on Senator Kim's questioning, so you are fully aware that the president is suing your agency for $10 billion.
Yeah.
We would agree. Would you agree that $10 billion is a good sum of money?
Yes, sir.
Where would that be cut from? Let's say for some reason he actually wins that lawsuit. Where would that $10 billion come from?
Again, it would come from
process-wise. I'm not asking like your opinion whether it's right or wrong.
It would come from Treasury.
It comes from Treasury, which comes from the general fund?
The Treasury general account.
So taxpayers?
Yes.
Thank you.
Part of the 440,000 taxpayers whose returns were leaked.
If the president.
Now, that was such an interesting. I'm so glad Bessent actually said that. And so, you know, Bessent, I think he throws us a little bit of a bone there, to be honest, guys. And I don't know why he decided to throw that out there, because basically what he's saying is that every single American should be able to sue for $10 billion. Not just Trump. Listen to that. So basically, Trump is trying to get $10 billion from the Treasury. Trump is trying to take $10 billion from the Treasury with this lawsuit because they leaked his tax returns, okay? And that obviously comes from the taxpayers. Now, listen to what Bessent says here.
Fund?
The Treasury General Account.
So taxpayers.
Yes.
Thank you.
Part of the 440,000 taxpayers whose returns were leaked.
So Donald Trump is part of the 440,000 Americans whose tax receipts were leaked. So that means 440,000 Americans should be also entitled to $10 billion. I like the idea. I certainly don't think it's going to go that way. It'll probably be one of 444,000 that gets $10 billion. But there it is. There it is. All right. Now, we had the National Prayer Breakfast today. President Trump was a guest speaker. The whole thing is so, folks, the whole thing is so out of touch. Trump is just so out of touch now. It's unbelievable. He used the National Prayer Breakfast. First of all, he says, thanks to me, religion is back and hotter than ever. Religion back and hotter than ever, thanks to Trump. What the hell are you even saying? Like, good Lord. Talk about cringe. But he decides to attack Massey and Paul. This is the prayer breakfast. And he turns it into some political stump. Listen to this.
Is an automatic no. No matter what, if we did welfare reform, if we did the greatest thing in history for religion, no matter what we did, no matter how good it is, greatest tax cuts, and we just did the greatest tax cuts in history. He voted against. He voted. Now, no matter what we do, this moron, no matter what it is, we could put them all together. I think, Mike, what would you say the top 5 things? Name them. We'll put them in one bill, and we'll put them before we get 100% vote, except for this guy named Thomas Massey. There's something wrong with him. We call him Rand Paul Jr. It's like they just vote no. They love voting no. They think it's good politically. The guy's polling at about 9%. It's not good.
So he uses the podium at the National Prayer Breakfast to lie. It's an outright lie. He's not polling at 9%. That is just a blatant lie. He also doesn't vote no on everything, but fine, we get the point. You're going to use the podium at the National Prayer Breakfast to attack some of the only 2 conservatives left in Congress and make it about politics? Honestly, folks, what Trump has become in his second administration, and you know what? People will say, he was always this. Okay, whatever. Rub it in. I voted for him 3 times. I really don't care. It's fair. I own it. I voted for him. I'm holding the guy I voted for accountable. Despicable. The con man that he's become. Absolutely despicable, the con man that he's become. You want to use a speech to attack Rand Paul. You want to use a speech to attack Thomas Massey. That's fine. Campaign trail, White House press, whatever. It's the National Prayer Breakfast. And you're the one that comes off as the a-hole here, attacking his wife and lying about the approval rates. I can't wait till Thomas Massey wins the election, which he's going to. 100%. And if he doesn't, it'll just be a total rig, a total steal. And then that'll be funny to watch. Oh, we're going to stop the steal. And then they're just going to start stealing elections for Trump. I just can't believe it, man. I just can't believe it. So again, that was at the National Prayer Breakfast. So he makes it, he talks about how he's brought religion back. And he says religion is hotter than ever, like it's a sales pitch, like it's a product. Uses it to attack Massey and Paul. Name calling. What an embarrassment. And I was thinking about this too. You know what? And maybe it's wishful thinking. Maybe I am coping. I feel like if they wouldn't have stolen the 2020 election, it wouldn't be like this. I feel like second term Trump 2020 to 2024 would not have been like this. But maybe that's just me coping. Trump just can't help himself, It's all about Trump these days. Everything. Trump has Trump derangement syndrome. Trump RX set to launch, but it's unclear if it will lower drug prices. So now Trump RX is the new Trump thing. Trump's hotter than ever. Trump this, Trump that. Me, 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 me. Section 230 reform is being pitched in Congress now, assessing Section 230 reform proposals in the 119th Congress. Now, folks, look, there's a fair debate here, but it's very clear the way this is going. They're going to use these reforms to censor social media, is what they're going to do. They're going to use these reforms to censor social media. And so I'm really afraid now that that's what it's going to be used to do. Specifically X, obviously the one platform that they probably control the least. I think they're going to use Section 230 reform to censor X. That's what I see happening. So we'll continue to cover that. That process is just starting. Israel bulldozed part of Gaza war cemetery containing Allied graves. Well, those are just stupid goyim. Yeah, the Israelis don't care. They just desecrated the graves of goyim lost in World War II. Satellite images and witness testimony show destruction as IDF claims it was forced to take defensive measures against the dead. The IDF was forced to take defensive measures against a bunch of corpses from World War II. The Allies that fought to free the Jews from Nazi Germany. The whites, the goys that fought and died to save the Jews. You guys are so appreciative there. Those Israelis, they're so appreciative of all the goyim that died to save them. Wonder how that's going to go. So they desecrated the grave, and they're going to build a nice. They're going to build a nice tower on it, probably for the non-goy to take and live in. It's very nice of them. Very nice. Just letting you know how they really feel. It was in self-defense. It was literally a cemetery. And those corpses were coming right after me. Anti-Semitism was in their DNA. My God. And it's funny. Dinesh D'Souza, he's a big supporter of Israel, big standing up for the Jews. Hatred of Jews doesn't just appear randomly. Interesting. It emerges in dying, decadent societies. Or maybe something happens and great civilizations die, become decadent and die, and then people realize who was running the society and who was running the civilization, and they say, maybe that's the problem, the people that were running it. It's an interesting thing to say there, Dinesh. I don't think it really hits the way you think it hits. You know what I mean? I don't think that's really selling what you think it's selling, Dinesh. Okay? And you can see in the comments here. Yeah. It actually sounds like more of an admission than anything, Dinesh. I don't think you thought that one through, bud. I'm not sure Dinesh thought that one through. But we are really getting a taste of the entitlement of these Israelis right now. We're really getting an understanding of the entitlement. This Israeli got caught speeding in New York, or he was in Florida speeding to New York. You know what? For the sake of time, he tells the police officer, well, I'm an Israeli and we don't have a speed limit, so you have to let me go. Because he was doing 110, and that's like a super speeding crime. It's like depending on the speed. So he gets pulled over doing 110, super speeding crime. He says, oh, no, I'm an Israeli. We don't have speed limits. Like, oh, okay, you're above the law, huh? I'm just not going to play that video for the sake of time. Let's move on because this happened. Now, again, for the sake of time, this is now a former Turning Point employee, Aubrey Leish here. She tells her story about how she was fired from Turning Point USA, but she doesn't buy the official story. I don't want to play all 12 minutes. Let me see if we can play the last half of this, because I think this will encompass the body of the video. Interesting stuff here. Former Turning Point USA employee.
Got into an Uber one day, and they randomly just kind of started talking about Turning Point. And the executive asked the driver, what do you think about Turning Point? And the driver proceeded to tell the Turning Point executive, well, it's just really sad. I've heard the organization's really going downhill. There's not really a direction, and nobody likes Erica. And the Turning Point executive proceeded to ask this Uber driver, well, who told you that? And the Uber driver told the Turning Point executive that his daughter was good friends with a girl that worked at Turning Point way back when in high school. They had spoken about Turning Point since Charlie's assassination, and that, this was told to him by his daughter. And the Turning Point executive, of course, asked, well, what's the employee's name? And the Uber driver allegedly said, Aubrey who? Aubrey Leitch. And the story was presented to me as one of the reasons for my termination. And I was just a little taken aback because, number one, I'm not really friends with anybody from high school. And a lot of that has to do with my political beliefs. I've been a conservative since I was pretty much a junior in high school. And so I don't know who I would have told this story to. And it also doesn't even align with my true thoughts of Erica at the time. I've actually known Erica since 2013. We were doing pageants around the same time as one another. She was in the Miss USA organization, and I was in the Miss United States organization. And we happened to cross paths at an event. So I've known Erica for quite some time, and my thoughts of her and nobody liking her do not align whatsoever with that timeline of October or November. So that was one of Turning Point's reasons for letting me go. So unlike my peers, I actually was given reason. However, there's another thing I kind of want to dive into. To protect myself, I am going to preface with Turning Point has not insinuated this. They never told me anything like this. However, I just have a gut feeling that I was terminated from Turning Point because I am questioning the narrative of what happened to my role model and CEO, Charlie Kirk, on the day of his assassination. What is being told to us in the mainstream media just really doesn't add up to me. And I'm really hopeful that one day it will. But as it stands right now, it just doesn't. And so I've been here in the background talking with people, expressing how I truly feel, because as an American citizen, I have the right to my freedom of speech and my freedom of thought. And I have a lot of concerns and a lot of questions about what took place that day and the events leading up to that day. It is from my own experience that you can't question the narrative and work at Turning Point. That is how I feel. That is how other people I've talked to feel. It goes against everything that Charlie ever stood for. Charlie was someone who did question things, who did challenge the narrative. And I know that if anything at all were to have happened to myself or another employee or any other peer within the Turning Point family, that Charlie would be doing the same thing if we were brutally assassinated in the way that he was. He would have never lived it down. And that is what I'm standing by as well. I am not going to just idly sit by and hope that the truth comes to light. I'm going to take action. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to talk to other people. And I refuse to apologize for having my own freedom of thought, which is something that Charlie ingrained in me and so many other young people. So really the purpose of me coming on here and speaking with you today is to just bring light to the situation of the treatment happening inside the organization. All of these people who have been terminated were the most hardworking, loyal, honest employees that Turning Point has ever had. And I know that because I've actually been at Turning Point longer than most people. That's public record. You can see it for yourself on these job websites. Turning Point's average length of employment is about 1.5 to 2 years. And so to be there for almost 5 years is actually quite some time. I've seen the media and marketing team, for example, turn over at least twice, consuming of about 40 people. And so I know that these people have been some of the most loyal, hardworking, and honest individuals to ever pass through the organization because I've been there, done that, and seen it all. I'm doing this for them. And I'm doing this for my friends who I consider family who are still there in hopes that they will start to receive better treatment by the leadership there because nobody deserves to be let go without cause. And frankly, it's a loss for Turning Point. We're all going to be better off because of this because we have removed ourselves from an environment that was no longer serving us. And in my opinion, no longer serving the Lord, which was Charlie's entire intention. The other purpose of this video is to bring to light the fact that although Turning Point is an organization that is all about freedom of speech and promoting that, from my experience, it is certainly not a place where that is something that is really accepted. I didn't want to do this. I didn't want this to be the ending result for me or for Turning Point. It literally breaks my heart to make this video, but I know that I owe it to Charlie and that this would be the expectation for me. And so that's why I'm doing it. Everything's for Charlie. Overall, it's really disappointing to see the direction in which Turning Point is going. And that is maybe one thing right that they got about this Uber ride is I'm not confident in where it's going as it stands right now. And I'm really disappointed by that because I packed up and moved my entire life back to my hometown solely for the purpose of working for Turning Point. That is how much I love this place. I just refuse to stand by, watch my peers be unfairly treated, and watch leadership attempt to take over something that was Charlie through and through, and something that he poured his heart, soul, and mind into building and creating and maintaining. I appreciate everyone who stuck around for the entirety of this video, and God bless you all.
Now, look, I will just say, you know, I've never worked for Turning Point, and I don't think it's really my place to say some of, you know, the interpersonal workings or opinions of them. But I will say this. I don't think that issue that she just highlighted or that she's talking about, or just her isolated, I don't think that's the last you're going to hear of that. I would highly doubt it, in fact. And this is where I hesitate to say, but it's like, I mean, I know for a fact she's not alone in some of those mindsets, if not all of those mindsets. I know she's not alone. So I don't think this issue is going anywhere. And I am curious if she doesn't believe the story that this all happened because of some Uber ride, and she thinks it's because of her opinion on something. I wonder how they knew that. It's kind of an interesting question of how did they know that then, if that's the case. So I consider that a development in the story, and that's why we bring it to the show today. All right, guys, time for our super chats. Time for our super chats. As we do at the end of every transmission, let's go. Let's go. What do you crazies got for me today? End of every show, we read the YouTube super chats. Starting us off today, Jennifer K. Getting on plane, but I'll listen to you in the air. Safe travels. Have you landed? You may have landed by now. How about that? A whole flight with me. That's fun. Das Vault, Deep State Dan, Glazed Levin, and Sheer Piro 3 more times today. Ha! Thanks for the update. Oh, man. Soul Clips, Sasha Riley. I guess he wants us to look it up. Oregon Outlaw, if Trump won't strike Iran in the next few days or weeks, do you think Israel will do some sort of false flag attack in order to get Trump to strike? You got to give one thing to Israel. They are very well measured and smart in what they do, and that's why they are able to get away with so much. I think they know that that is not a smart move right now. I think they know that they will get blamed for it, and it will only continue to hurt their agenda. I think it's more likely that we just see more Epstein leaks I think it's more likely that we see more Epstein links and the market continue to crash. I think that's what they have their levers on, and I think that's what they're just going to continue to use until they get what they want out of Trump. That's how I see it. I don't think they need anything else. But, obviously that's always in play. Cornelius Westernmost. I would love to see an Owen Mike Adams collab. You both have been simpatico with takes on Trump, Middle East, and the economy. Ask him about his genius idea for a tax strike via 100% legal IRS loophole. Always love Mike. Good friends with Mike. We stay in touch. I can reach out to him. Maybe make that happen. Pro-Trumpers and anti-Trumpers only focusing on Trump and Epstein is equally as disgusting. Tay-Tay. Latina girlfriend looks great in 1930s Hugo Boss. Do you really know that? Owen's tech support. Trump said he has no vices, drink or smoke. His vice is cheese pizza. Oh, I don't think that. I really don't. And it is impressive. He's never drank or done a drug in his life. No, I think his vice, is women. I think his vice is women, of age women. I think, full-bodied, real women. I'd say that's probably his vice. And probably a Big Mac. Owen Schroyer's wifey. Got Epstein files, but will we get Epstein trials? No, obviously not. And he's probably, if he's alive, he's never coming back. Exposed 305, Romans 2:28-29. Say a Jew is in the spirit. Many say it's in their dad's blood. Who's lying, Owen? Well, I don't think that's the exact Bible verse, so I'm not exactly sure what you're asking here. But I believe it's, that is a question about, it is a question that comes up. You can't really just convert to be Jewish. It has to be in your blood. I mean, that's the idea of the chosen people, the passing it down. But then it's also like, like an ethnicity. It's also, there's a religion. Ben Johnson. Hi, Owen. Sure, there's no going back, but how do we go forward? Impeach Trump and his entire cabinet? If we make Massey Speaker of the House and impeach JD and Trump, Massey is president. Oh, that's true. But I don't think Massey has that support. I mean, Israel owns Congress, so they're not going to make sure that never happens. Corn Pop. Iran. I don't think Trump is stalling. His boss is planned to visit this month. Perhaps the strike comes then. Did you know in Trump's first year of president, in year one, Netanyahu came to the White House 5 times. Did you know that's more than any foreign leader has ever been to the White House in any administration ever? How about that? It's pretty telling, isn't it? Bible mentions Jew 32 verses. Christians has 2 verses only. A Christian is a Jew. Owen, get off the loop. So you're saying Christianity is an offset of Judaism. And I do understand that logic. There is a debate about that. But I understand the logic. Capo Mercs, as someone who is building the data centers, they are ready for it, Owen. Well, I did say that they have the data centers, but do they have the computing power and the energy to actually process all the data? So I don't know if you're addressing that. It seems like you're just addressing the data centers themselves. I have no doubt they're building the data centers and they have the data centers. They can build them all day long, but do they have the computing power, the processing power, and the energy? That's where I don't think, but maybe you're saying they do. David Hall, thank you. Trump no longer has a direct connection to his voters now that Charlie is gone. Charlie was his last connection to us, all by design. Certainly seems that way. Latina girlfriend over Priya Patel. That's good. Smart move. Epstein went to India and said he doesn't like it and will be leaving tomorrow. Are we following? Are we monitoring the situation? Is my tech team in India, by the way? There is a new image of people that think it's Epstein with a beard. I don't know if you've seen it. And he's walking around with a tight security team that looks like Israeli security. Yeah. What a crazy world, guys. What a crazy world. Bad Bunny is a Nancy boy. Yeah, I think that's pretty well known. She is a great reason to be hopeful for the future of America. And the future looks bright. I agree. So it's not Gen Z in Gen Mog. Trying to translate that. I don't think Gen Z is embedded into the same propaganda, or at least to the degree that older generations are. Gen Mog. Welcome to Electric Boogaloo. Who is the synagogue of Satan? Ask your local priest or pastor. Blackout back on Bangino. Use coupon code Owen. Damn right. Blackout coffee. Coupon code Owen. Hey, I don't blame him. Who wouldn't want blackout coffee? Player Hater 1. Owen mogging in 4K with Priya watching. Homies wasn't lying. P.S. If you're ever in Arizona, you'll need ankle braces. Let's ball, brother. Ha ha. That's good. That's good. Yeah, I don't know how old you are. Some of these high schoolers get me every once in a while. Some of these high schoolers get me every once in a while. When I'm able to keep up with the young guys, the college kids and the high schoolers, because these kids play, they get me. I'm not going to pretend I'm not 36 years old, and every once in a while the high school, college ballers get me. But every once in a while, I still got it. I still got it. What's the old song? I'm not as good as I once was, but once I'm good as I ever was. Oh, yeah. I don't think they were talking about basketball in that song, but we'll apply it to basketball here. But I was playing the other night with the young kids, and for whatever reason, my footwork, my defense was just, they couldn't get by me, man. Do you know how good that felt? So I don't know about those ankle braces, bud. I don't know. We'll bring them anyway in case. Coffee lover, get some coffee on me. Thank you. Blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. Coupon code Owen. Fishback banned from Tinder, now on black single site. I saw that. I saw that they banned him from Twitter, and now he's going onto the black single site. I feel like they'll let him stay there. Why would they ban him from Tinder? Is that like a geopolitical thing, if you catch my drift? Putin won the Epstein files, and no one else is even in close second. Yeah, well, interesting take. But that's why they're blaming it on him, of course. And we're back to the PP tape hoax. Life comes full circle. Exactly. They're using Christopher Steele to say it's Russia. I mean, it's hilarious. And MAGA goes for it now. MAGA likes the Clintons now. MAGA trusts Christopher Steele now. Oh, and Trump doesn't want mass deportations anymore either. I mean, it's just a joke. MAGA. Men, put a sticker on your front camera when you go for some Jeffrey Toobin time. Oh, boy. You know what? Let's actually... well, if you're doing Toobin time, unless you're like old school, I think you're already being monitored anyway. If you're going for some Toobin tugging time, just get the phone out of the room. Probably a good idea. Weimar problems require Weimar solutions. I hope the fentanyl-laced pea drone doesn't hurt. Algorithms have been calculating our risks for years. It is already too late. But have they been a risk themselves? Photo of dead Epstein ain't him, Owen. I'm starting to agree with you. I wasn't too into that. I'm starting to get there. Bill Gates is full of viruses. Well, apparently, at least one. He was sharing. Bill and Epstein like to share their meals, if you catch my drift. We surrendered our freedoms when most of the country sat silent during the Patriot Act. That was a bad one. They doubled down on it. Corn Pop is coming out as Goy. It's all right, Goy. My fellow Goy. What's up, Goyam? Multiple sources show emails that J.E. sent a girl to Elon's house to give him a massage, and Elon accepted. This doesn't concern you. I've not seen that. The only emails I've seen regarding Elon was there was an attempt to get to the island, and then it never manifested. And then eventually he reached a point where he cut off communications. So I haven't seen it. I haven't seen what it is you're referring to. If I do see it or you want to send it to me on X, I'll review it. But nobody, I mean, who with the reach and influence and wealth and power of Musk has been posting more about the Epstein files? The answer is nobody. Musk is posting about the Epstein files every day, demanding prosecutions, investigations, all of it. So, Too many boomers on the left lane and I-75 in Florida. Well, I guess we can all relate to, speeding a little bit. Susie Wiles behind the scenes saying Americans are loving the Massey and Rand Paul slander. Oh, my gosh. Susie Wiles, what a disaster. What a disaster. I'm so sick of our leadership being full of boomers. Starting to get there, which is too bad. Boomers, people are good people. Boomers are good people, I don't do the generational warfare. I've got plenty of friends that are in that generation. My parents, they're good people. They're good people. But we talk about what happened politically, geopolitically in their generation and what they're leaving us with. It's not good. That's true. But I don't like the generational warfare. I like boomers. I respect my elders, and we do love our boomers. Those tombstones look Hamas to me. That's why the IDF bombed the graveyard and took out all the Goy grave sites. They were Hamas. They were coming right at them. The Israeli speeder was in Flagler County, Florida. Flagler County. So that's so they'll be calling Randy Fine for a bailout, I guess. Is that what we're saying? Hey, Owen, I find it interesting that you said act accordingly. That sounds like you're basically saying behave and conform. Isn't that exactly what they want? We're all cooked. No, you're misinterpreting. You're misinterpreting. I'm saying act accordingly, assuming that everything you do is being spied on. In other words, don't do anything you don't want somebody else to know you're doing. Don't do anything that could be used against you in the future. That's what I'm saying. So let's just be very clear about that. What are you talking about? I am the anti-establishment guy. I am the walking, talking embodiment of the middle finger in political media. Come on. Come on. Yeah, Randy Fine's district. Why did you gatekeep the coupon code? Our Climax coffee arrived. I apologize. I wasn't trying to gatekeep coupon code Owen. I wasn't. I just assumed everybody in the audience was already drinking it. I didn't realize we still had people in the audience that were not drinking blackout coffee. That's on me. That is on me. We've reviewed it. We've course corrected. Coupon code Owen, blackoutcoffee.com/Owen. First time buyers, 20% off. We're selling coffee. All right. Best coffee in the game. So no gatekeeping. Jordan Walker, Massey, my Tassie, now Goober, my Uber. What? We got a poet in the audience. We got a poet here, guys. That's good. All right. Co-create with me. Could you have Friday hour with Leonardo Joni sometime? I like Leonardo. I could reach out to her. I think she's based in Austin. She's pretty funny for a lady. Trump is absolutely PDF. Stu Peters covered this already. Sounds to me like you're still shilling for Trump. Oh, yeah, I'm shilling for Trump. I mean, let's be reasonable here. Let's be reasonable here. You're the one. So first you said that I'm telling you to obey the establishment. I literally sell T-shirts that say disobey. Now you're saying I'm shilling for Trump. I have Trump posting videos telling me to shut the F up. I mean, come on, man. Come on. Palmetto Hawk. With all the redacted emails on Epstein files, how many do you think are government addresses and even still active ones? It was curious to me why they redacted emails and not names. I guess, these are people, they don't want them to spam their emails, but it's like, well, why did you keep the names in there? Because, now people that are in the files are getting harassed in public. So that's happening. There could be some government emails in there. I don't think that would surprise anybody. You know what's so strange? And I forgot to mention this too. And I was going to do it today, and then I decided not to because I was, I feel like it might have been a trap. But there were some images in the files that people have now logged in to Jeffrey Epstein's email. They've now logged into Jeffrey Epstein's phone. Because there were images in the files that had logins and passwords. And in fact, I saw Sneeko, I think it was last night, Sneeko was inside of his email and did a search, using the keyword pizza And it was such a great point. It's so obvious. It's like, it's so ridiculous. And Sneeko is like, yeah, look at all the pizza messages, and they're already in the files. And it's like, look at all the pizza messages. Who emails their friends about pizza? Nobody. You search anyone else on the planet's email, and it's the pizza is going to be, oh, you ordered a pizza or something, right? Like you ordered a pizza delivery, and that's it. There's no messages about pizza. With Epstein, it's all weird coded language. So Sneeko actually went in. Sneeko actually went into the email, and I saw it, and I was like, hey, that's good stuff. And I was going to do it today. And there's email, there's phones, there's all these different logins, and people are going in, downloading the images and everything. And then I stopped, and I was like, I already got 3 hours of content. And part of me is like, I wonder if it's a trap. By the way, though, there are signs, and this is part of the reason why I'm flipping. There are signs that somebody has been logging into Epstein's emails after he was dead. Now, considering he was sharing the passwords and the logins, it could have been anybody, but suspicious. We need more videos of you in gray sweatpants, please. Thank you so much. Why gray sweatpants? Is that a thing? Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. You don't need it, though. You don't. You want it, but you don't need it. Yes, look into Sasha Riley here on YouTube. He talks vividly about being trafficked by Epstein and Trump, and he's a veteran. Don't listen to the roasts in the chat. You're number one. Well, we like it. You know, we don't run away from it. We like it. We enjoy it. We enjoy it. We don't run. We're not scared. We embrace. We lean in. We trigger. We mog. Charlie Jewell, been following since 2016. Keep up the good work, brother. Thank you, Charlie. Thank you. Appreciate that. You're so much better than Alex Jones. Well, that's very nice. Thank you. Very nice. I appreciate that. And, you know, I guess that's kind of what Milo Yiannopoulos said after the drama of the falling out, if you will. But I'm not here to get into that. I'm not here to talk about the past. I'm only here to talk about the future. Cruel. Wouldn't it be more cruel for me to do it, though? Wouldn't that be more cruel? Wouldn't that torture you and torment you even more? Oh, here we go. Owen Schroyer's boyfriend weighs in. Pay taxes all year. Then when I file, I'm expected to pay thousands more every year than it adds interest. But Trump's going to sue for $10 billion, I think, actually, $10 billion. Send me money, babe. No, I don't have it. I'll send you $4.99. I'll send you $4.99. I recommend a book called The Antichrist by Father Vincent Michelli. Very informative. We all have to wake up. Crazy times we live in right now. From Logan Misiak. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Here we go. Josh Little, L.A. Patriot, 8 foreskin crisps on Epstein Island. We got infighting in the chat now. This is the kind of drama you tune in for. Forget the news. Elon posting for JE arrests mean nothing. Trump said 10 years ago Hillary should be in jail, and today he's disappointed the Clintons are being questioned. Also, still in the sky. Hey, I get it. I know my defense and approval rating of Musk is unpopular here. I know that. I accept it. I accept the criticism. I welcome the debate. I've explained it. I've explained my logic. I think it's a fair criticism. It's a fair disagreement. But that's the difference here. We don't do audience capture. We don't do fear of disagreement. We don't do, oh no, what if I say something somebody doesn't like, or oh no, I'll lose rating. No, we don't play that game. We call it as it is. We are America's play-by-play for politics, the Owen Report. That's what we do. That's what we do here, guys. So, you know. Let me see here. Do I have Sorry, I'm looking for something here. Wanted to check with something before we sign off. Let's see. All right. All right. Couple more super chats, I think, here. Let me see. Did we get anything? Yeah. All right. QWERTY, Rich Barris from People's Pundit ran his poll numbers and did an absolute shellacking on Trump today. Rich would be a great guest on your show. I follow Rich. We interact a little bit. Does good work. People's Pundit. Flick off. What percent do you have on Elon Musk being the anti-C? I don't, zero. I don't really buy into the theory that the Antichrist is going to be like some human walking among us. I don't really think that's, I don't know. Everyone's going to have their opinion on that. No, I think it's going to be something else. I think it's going to be something unseen, not understood. So, no. I mean, people seem to freak out because he wears like Halloween costumes, and they think that's him signaling something. I think he's just a video game nerd, and I think that's how he triggers and trolls. That's just me. But, it's an interesting topic people like to talk about. But he's not the only one that invests in these technologies. He is the most transparent, though. He is the most transparent about it. I don't think I would ever take the brain chip. I don't think I would ever take the brain chip. I don't think I would ever want wires in my head. I don't even like wearing the stupid, virtual reality glasses. I can't even stand that, which is a major flop, by the way. The whole virtual reality world, talk about a flop. Yeah, because it sucks. The real world's better. Can you get big Bibi Netanyahu collab? It's funny you joke about that. I bet you I bet you I could get access. I could probably get access to Bibi before I could Trump. That's how crazy it is. I told you they offer me the trips to Israel all the time. I mean, they fight for their cause. They try to get everybody to fight for their cause. You got to give them credit for that. LA Patriot, don't get in your feelings. Owen can defend himself. That's good. We like a little shit disturber out there, NASA, David Icke was right. I heard there was some drama on that front today. I don't know if it ended up manifesting or not. Just what I heard. A little birdie told me. I've still got my sources, but I don't know because I don't tune in. Kiss the wall for the Netanyahu collab. I would probably have to. That would probably be part of the prerequisite to land such an interview. And I don't want to do that. I don't think I could do that. In fact, I'm afraid of myself if I even went there. I'm more of a stone cold type of guy. A lot of people in politics like kissing ass. You may have noticed. A lot of people in politics like to kiss ass. I'm more of the, I like to kick ass is more of where I'm at. I like to kick ass, not kiss ass. That's the difference between me and them. Sasha Rilke. Are you saying that's the name and you misspelled it earlier? It's Rilke, not Riley. I feel like I've heard that name before. I don't think you're the first person to bring it up here or bring it up to me. I feel like somebody's brought that name up before. Maybe we'll look into that. Maybe we'll check that out. Let's see if there's anything else we want to do before we sign off. I don't think so. I don't think so, guys. I think we've done everything we need to do today. I think we've taken care of all of our business. Yeah? Is it time to take a 21-hour break? Do I have anything else going on tomorrow? It's a normal day tomorrow. Normal Friday, right? Boy, that week flew by. I can already tell you we're going to do the same thing. I've already got other Epstein emails and files and stuff ready to go for tomorrow. So we will be doing that again. What a crazy week, though. What a crazy week. Flew by. And do I have a guest? I can't remember if I had a guest tomorrow or not. I have to check out the schedule. But I think it's time for a 21-hour break. I think it's time. Yeah. All right, guys. That's going to do it. That's going to do it. We'll have more. We'll have more in the Epstein files tomorrow. We'll do it all again. What the hell?
No, you're not ending the show. It's Primetime 99.
What
Here's your freaking. Listen, I want to say something.
Whoa. What the hell is going on here?
I've hacked you, dude. Guys, my face is red. I need to put on some makeup, but
How the hell did you get in here? I'm signing off right now. What is going on?
No, you're not. You're not signing off. I have a lot to say. I just want to call you out because you've been very rude to Ben Shapiro. Yes, dude, just because Ben Shapiro. Yes, dude, do not go after Ben Shapiro. He's an American patriot. He's facts over feelings, and he has 3 million facts that Jeffrey Epstein was a pedophile.
I get it. You're a network man now.
I am Real America's Voice.
You're a network man now.
I am. I'm suited and booted, even though I got my shorts on. But Owen, I really watched your clip too with Priya Patel. What the heck, dude? Well, you're going after her. Her and I are friends. I don't know if I really appreciate you being so kind to her and trying to swoop in.
Did you have her scheduled on your show too?
No, but I am now. I'm definitely going to get her on now.
No. I'm going to send her a message. I'm going to warn her about you.
What are you going to say?
I'm going to say you just crashed my show and that you're out of control.
I am out of control. I am. That is 100% a fact. But
hey, you know what? Actually, you know what's funny? Is this part of your set? What is this Jurassic Park?
No, this is my kind of streaming thing. No, this is not. This is my set in here. Hold on, let me show you. I just had to join my phone. We ran late. I'm such an idiot. I told Jay Dyer to come on at 6. You got to come on my show. Hopefully, you can come on next week. But I told him 6, and my show's at 5 because I told him that last week because I don't even know when I was recording my show.
You crashed my show, even though you're supposed to have a guest right now?
No, I was supposed to have a guest earlier. I just got done recording my show.
And you have a dog.
I got a pit bull, a mean pit bull too. Like she will attack and bite you. She's really poorly trained.
This is crazy.
Yeah, I only trained her to bite dark people, but not necessarily black people. Actually, Indians mainly. I want her to keep the Indians off my block because they're always cooking curry and causing they're making the whole neighborhood stink.
Yeah. Well, even Epstein's into he's into the Indian poop. I don't know if you saw that. He was interested in the Indian poo.
And I think he was into furries as well, which is insane.
I haven't seen that one yet. Hey, but anyway, this is actually funny. So that you saw that whole Jurassic Park set that he had at his new studios there. Do you remember when Destiny said something about me not believing in dinosaurs in that debate we had? Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah, he said that. I think he called you a flat earther. But what's funny is I don't really believe in the official narrative of dinosaurs. So, yeah, I mean, I believe in the Book of Enoch. I think they had giants.
And yet you're at the Jurassic Park set. Well, it's funny because I don't think I've ever said anything about dinosaurs in my life. I think I've had some flat earth debates and flat earth people on my show before. And people sent me flat Earth books. I read them when I was in jail, but I don't think I've ever said anything about dinosaurs.
Wait, shut up! Wait, time out. They sent you a flat Earth book in jail. That is so flat earther to do that. Like this is going to help you in jail. Read a book about flat Earth. I'm like,
I read 2 of them.
Which one? Which book is it? Because I know there's that famous one. It's like there's a really old book about it. I bought one of those too. I didn't read it.
Yes, the old book. People have been debating flat Earth in front of Congress even since the 1920s. It was a book. The problem when you read books from like the 1920s, the lexicon was so different. It's like you really had to read it like over and over to understand and interpret it. But no, I read 2 of the 3. Somebody sent me the big Eric Duvet. That one is like this, like 2 inches thick.
Eric's book is real big because I've watched a lot of his stuff. Well, he's the one that did the dinosaurs aren't real. But there is something to that. Like obviously there's like big animals and big creatures. But this is what I'm trying to say real quick. Is they design these T-Rexes. They have these little arms, these long torsos. Like I don't even know if they can or what. How do I say that? Anatomically, am I saying that right? I don't know. I sound like Candace Owens, but it doesn't even make sense how they were able to hump each other. So maybe they laid eggs. I don't know. There's something weird about dinosaurs.
Yeah, how do they do that? How do they get it on?
They just lift their tail up, and I guess they just go in there, and they're just,
type of content that I can only go to Alex Stein for.
Well, this is why. Okay, this is where it comes from. So you believe this, you do believe, and you believe there's probably at one point a huge flood, right?
Yeah, I think that's easily multiple.
Yeah, provable. Yeah. There's probably multiple floods. Yeah. So if an alligator lived through the flood, they always say like an alligator is a dinosaur. I think there's and sharks. Like I think that obviously there's still alligators today. So there are big like dinosaur creatures, but there are some that were able to live through the flood, and how they say like they all just died from a comet. I don't know. I just find that hard to believe. And then you look at the bone wars. The bone wars are weird. They had to declassify a bunch of the bones they found because they would find like a little piece of bone and they'd be like, this is a velociraptor. This is this. So, and every single dinosaur bone you've ever seen, which I do believe in dinosaurs, but I'm just saying there's something weird about it. Every single dinosaur bone that you've ever seen in a museum is a recreation because they say that the actual dinosaur bones have too much radiation and they have to be held behind, some sort of special holding facility so you don't get any radiation poisoning. Yes.
Why would there be radiation?
Google it right now. Ask X. Every single dinosaur bone that you see in a museum is a.
No, I do know that. I do know that, but I'm saying, why would a dinosaur bone have radiation?
I don't know, but that's one of the reasons I say that they have. I guess from the comet, from the blast. I have no idea, but that is true. Isn't that weird that every dinosaur bone that we've all been to museums in our life and have all seen on school field trips or is a recreation? So it is weird. And then
here's what I wonder. I don't know too much about the dinosaur. Fake dinosaur conspiracy theory. What I was going to say, though, is the reason why Destiny brought that up, and I didn't realize this at the time, but somebody sent me the clips. Owen Benjamin talks about how dinosaurs are fake. Yeah. And so Destiny, he thought I was Owen Benjamin. He was literally responding to an Owen Benjamin clip, and I'm not Owen Benjamin. I'm Owen Schroyer. So, but that's,
somebody probably texted him that because he's so stupid. He doesn't watch. He probably doesn't watch anything. He's like probably jerking it to transgender porn. But yeah, somebody got you and Owen mixed up and said, Owen does because Owen Benjamin has done like hundreds of hours of dinosaurs and fake. I'm not in that level, but I do think there's some weird hinky jinky stuff with dinosaurs. Yeah, I think that we had some big mammals and dinosaurs. I guess they weren't.
And a lot of different animals have gone extinct throughout the years.
But let me turn.
But I feel like they lie about they lie about evolution. So I feel like they would throw a bunch of other stuff in there to try to make us believe in evolution, even though it's a total lie.
Well, yeah, and like I said, like they do find these big bones, but that is part, like you said, that is why they say, because they want to make evolution real, so they have to say, oh, these are from 10 million years ago. Yeah, we still have like alligators here. We still have stuff that is here. So are alligators like 100 million years old? It's just some of the timeline stuff doesn't make sense. Now, I think you and I were talking about it on the phone, or maybe I was talking to somebody else about it. The time that they give us is not correct. Like, in the Hebrew Bible, it's the year 2587. Did you know that? Because they like every year it's Rosh Hashanah and it's short. I didn't realize that till recently. So you did know that?
Yeah, it's crazy because a bunch of different countries have different calendars.
Yeah, like Ethiopia, I think is totally different. There's a bunch of different calendars. Like I Show Speed had this viral moment. I forget which African country he was in, but they're like, yeah, it's only 2001 here. He's like, what? Or
that was either Egypt or Nigeria. I think that was Egypt. I remember that response. He was like, I'm in the past. I'm in the past.
So there's just weird stuff that doesn't make sense. Now, I don't know how to make sense of it all because that's what they use to control us. Like they lie to us. They want us arguing. They want us arguing over whether the earth is flat. They want us arguing over black versus white. It's called divide and conquer. You talk about this, but it's like, it's all meant to kind of trick us. So we're not actually like having our eye on the ball. So we just constantly strike out. But one thing I do want to say, that Priya girl, she's pretty, she's nice. And I've never seen a pretty Indian girl in my life. So she's the first Indian girl I've ever seen that is hot. And I mean, I hope that's not racist.
But she's only half Indian. So does that count?
Well, is Barack Obama black or white?
Yes.
So it counts. Jason Kidd, another guy, half black. So he gets, I think you get to go,
wasn't there an Indian Miss World at one point?
Well, I mean, okay, there's a couple hot Indian girls. I mean, I'm not saying they're not all, I mean, every single one is ugly, but I would say that like less than 1% of Indian women are good looking.
Get your mind off of the blimp. You're not.
So now you're just so pro Indian women. Give me a break. You know, this is
what a blimp anymore. You're not a pimp on a blimp anymore. You're what are you now?
I'm a simp on a blimp. But this is what made me so mad the other day. I was in a Uber and the guy was like, and this Uber was in Arizona, and the guy's like, so where do you live? And I was like, oh, I live in Dallas. He's like, where do you work? I was like, oh, I work in Irving. And a famous suburb of Irving is called Valley Ranch. He's like, oh, do you ever go to Bali Ranch? I go, what the fuck did you say? He goes, you ever been to Bali Ranch? Because Bollywood. This guy knew Indian slurs for my own neighborhood where I go to work every day, and he's in Arizona. So Dallas, DFW, if you even look at that map, we have more H-1B visas. Like everywhere you go are Indian people. As a matter of fact, there was actually, and I'm pro-Indian. I love Indians. They're so good. We love Priya Patel. But there's in Texas, you know how Texas high school football is like, you know, a religion here? There was a middle school in Frisco that because the school is so Indian, they didn't even have enough players for their middle school football team.
Because nobody wanted to play?
Yeah, because Indians don't play football. They play cricket.
In Frisco? That's
in
wild.
Frisco, yes. Yes, because they were in Highland Park's district and in one of the middle schools. So I guess, you know, there's more middle schools than high schools. So the high school has enough to field the team, but one of the middle schools, the eighth grade.
They got to prop up these middle schoolers. They got to prop up these middle schools because so many people are moving there, but they don't need to prop up the high schools because they can still handle the population.
They got, you know, 30 kids. And Frisco is a huge city, but yeah, there's a middle school there.
It's a big city. It's kind of a sports city too.
They have some of the best sports in the Metroplex. Yeah, Frisco's awesome at baseball, football. Like they're good at a bunch of sports. But yeah, there's a middle school where Highland Park got a free win. The middle school team had to forfeit it because they don't have enough players that want to play football.
Hey, speaking of dinosaurs, you know they just discovered like an 800-year-old shark swimming around Greenland, I think it was.
And how do they age a shark? You know, because I saw this thing.
They just asked him. They just said, "How old are you, shark?" He said, "I'm 800."
Well, before they, and I was watching some stupid Instagram video, but it was like a TikTok. Do you know where the saying "straight from the horse's mouth" comes from?
I don't recall. I feel like I should, but I feel like this is going to take a dark twist.
No, it's not even that dark. But before they actually had like ways to keep track of horses, they would have to judge how old they were by looking at the horse's teeth. That was the only metric that they could use to tell how old it was. And it still wasn't super, super accurate. So that's where the saying comes from, you know, back in like the Western days or whatever, they would look at the teeth. So they would say straight from the horse's mouth is, you know, and that's how they would evaluate the age of horses.
Yeah. If you ask Bill Clinton that, he has a different answer, but that's
he knows what age. 12. That's his favorite age. Dude, what about these Epstein leaks? Like, I'm not surprised because you and I were on top of Pizzagate back in 2016, but I guess seeing like The View and Whoopi Goldberg calling out Bill Gates, I love that. I can't believe that they actually, did you see that clip? It's going pretty viral where they're like,
I don't trust any of them though. Some of them were in the files, and that doesn't mean they're guilty of anything per se. You know, when you're a big name like that, but it's just like, I don't trust any of these people that get that big in the media and we know they're liars and frauds. I don't know.
Yeah, but dude, it was not that long ago where they were all kissing Bill Gates' ass and telling us to get vaccinated because Bill Gates said so, because Bill Gates is so smart. And to see like the about face on Bill Gates, I love it. And then Melinda Gates, the viral clip of Melinda Gates answering the allegation question.
I would like to see Melinda. I'd like to see her brought in for questioning. I bet she would, because she's kind of like putting her hands in there, like, not my problem. I got away from it. But it's kind of like, you know what, though? What do you know? What do you know?
She knows a little more than she's saying in that interview. And she seemed like she actually was sad. Like, she's like, it's just sad, sad. And I know these people like can act like she can probably, she could probably manipulate us. But for me, just calling balls and strikes, it looked like she was genuinely sad to me.
I do agree. What's funny about that was an NPR interview, and they like won't even let you share it. I got dinged for that.
I know. I saw a bunch of people got dinged, but then I think they brought the ding back because they were dinging so many people. I saw somebody else. Was it you or somebody said that they rescinded the copyright strike?
I never posted about it, but yeah, that was one I got dinged for. I don't know why.
Well, I reacted to it yesterday. I don't know if I got a ding. I got to look at my notifications, but it's just, dude, we knew that this was happening. I think that there's so much more information that they're not showing us. Like, I think there's a direct link. Yeah, there's a direct link to Mossad. There's a direct link to these intelligence agencies.
No, it was Putin and Russia. Okay, it was obviously.
Well, that's what Priya said, and you called her out, and she changed her tune. But I was actually in my mind, I was kind of debating both of y'all. Believe it or not, they do use Russia as a red herring. But Russia, like, I wouldn't be surprised if he knew some influential Russians, right? Like, that wouldn't be that crazy if he, knew some very powerful Russian people. Like, the same people that we went and took their yachts and these Russian oligarchs that are super rich. Like, I guarantee you he had some Russian friends, too.
Well, he was bringing in Russian models. Two of them ended up killing themselves.
Yeah, of course.
After going to the island. So there was no doubt there was, he had a footprint anywhere he could put one. That was that was kind of the story.
But I think his connection to Ehud Barak and constantly going to Tel Aviv. And what about, did you see that one clip? What's his name? The guy from Rebel News that said, "Dear Goyim." Did you know the guy I'm talking about?
Yeah,
Avi. Yeah. Dude, and I just want to message him and be like, dude, this is the wrong messaging. This is why Israel is losing the propaganda war. Like, everybody knows that Goyim is not it's a pejorative. It's not a positive term.
This is our N-word now. We are the goy. We are the goyim. There's nothing cracker, honky. It just doesn't work. Goy is the word for us now. Well, the whites claim goy. We claim goy.
Have you seen this awesome stand-up clip, though, from Ari Shafir, though? He talks about it. He's, like, talking about goy, and he talks about how it's, obviously a slang. It's a pejorative. It's a negative term. But the reason why goy is better than all the other slurs, like the N-word or cracker or whatever, because it's the most inclusive racial slur, because it includes everybody. So that's why
that's why I'm removing it, and I'm saying it's exclusive for whites. Everyone else gets one except whites. Whites now have goy. It's ours. We don't want it to be inclusive. We want it to be exclusive. And I think it's actually meant for us, by the way, even though in the text it's, any Gentile, any non-Jew. No, the whites are claiming goy and goyim. It was specifically meant against us. That's what I believe. And so we're just going to claim it now. We're going to claim it now. It's ours. If you're going to hurl a racial insult my way, it better be goy. I don't want to hear cracker or anything. I want goy. That's what I want.
Yeah, I kind of like that. I like that attitude. But now, real quick, though, we have to talk about it, and I don't want to get into the mud too much because I don't have that much heat. But can you believe all this Elijah Schaffer, Sarah Stock stuff? Isn't that sad? Like, I know we don't have to get into it, but I'm saying that's what everybody wants to hear. That's what everybody wants to talk about. Like, I think that's more of an indication on how sick we are as a society that we like that so much.
Well, I never really get into that stuff. I don't really do that commentary. But, it's funny you say that. A couple people reached out to me, kind of generally just like, oh, do you know about this? Whatever. But that was a common complaint from the people. They were like, hey, why is this even in my feed? Like, why are people even like, why is this a big? So it does seem like it's kind of, to a certain degree, there's like that moment. It was one of the greatest South Park episodes ever. I forget the name of it, but they were lowering the bar and then raising the bar with the same episode where Cartman was doing the handicap car fights with the spaghetti girl, whatever her name is, Kitty Boo Boo or whatever, Honey Boo Boo.
I loved Honey Boo Boo. I love the actual Honey Boo Boo, not making fun of her. But I cut you off. What does it mean? Lower the bar, raise the bar. How is that like this?
It was like at a certain point, it was like the bar got so low where we kind of took a pause and we were like, really? Like, really? We care about this stuff? What are we doing? What are we doing? We need to stop caring about this stuff. So
I agree.
That moment. It was like, why is it showing up on my feed? It's like, I don't know. I have nothing to do with that. I don't want to talk about it. You know,
And the last thing I'll say, it's like, I don't wish anything bad for Elijah. He's going through a divorce. That's a tough thing, you know. So I'm not even trying to air him out. It's just funny how everybody wants to like dogpile on Elijah and Sarah, which, you know, I guess there is fair criticism that people are giving, but it's just weird how much pleasure people get from going after him. And I'm not trying to go after him. People are going to use this clip and say I'm going after him. Really, I believe that they deserve some privacy, and that Sarah girl deleted her account. I think we just need to lay off her, and, you know, it is what it is. So I'm not even really trying to throw stones is what I'm trying to say.
She deleted her account?
Apparently.
That's like the quickest rise and fall I've seen since Kathy Zhu.
Yeah, and I mean, when you date an e-girl, it's just not great. It's just a hard situation. It's hard. It's a hard situation.
Yeah, it's hard. All right, huh?
Yeah,
Hey,
it is.
All right, let's take care of some business though. You started a new show here. That's the studio you're in. You got a new show.
Well, this is my streaming. This is where I like to stream, but this is my real. Look how nice Real America's Voice came down from West Palm Beach, and they built it. And
what is that painting? What was that painting you just passed up?
Which one is it?
There was like a bull. It was like a tie-dye bull.
Where is it?
Turn around, you damn retard. What are you
Yeah, I
doing?
know. I don't know. I know that I got Triple H. Where's the paint? Oh, this painting. Duh. I'm such an idiot.
What is that? That's cool.
Yeah, this is cool. Well, the guy that used to have this office, he played for football for the University of Texas, and he was leaving. He's like, you can have it. His name's Kevin Wiley, but he played, and so yeah, it's actually really badass. But
I like that.
yeah, dude, this is it. This is the Pimp on a Blimp Studios. You got to come down. I need to come down and be on your show too. But everybody needs to watch it. I'm daily, 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, and it's an hour-long show, and you know, we get some spicy guests. Even though I messed up the booking this week, long story short, like that's the worst part of this job, and I'm not trying to complain. I love my job. I'm sure you like your job too. There are some days that are hard, and there's just days that are easy. But the booking the guests, Owen, you know that's always such a pain in the butt because the guests that we want to get are usually people that are notable, and people that are notable, like their schedules are hard. It's just that the booking process, and I know it's probably a little easier at InfoWars because people really want to go on InfoWars, but I'm still sure that you had, annoying days with guests.
When I was there, I had a team. You know, I had producer stuff, and even though I would still do a lot of the production work, I could at least kind of hand the ball off when I needed to. Yeah, that's the one thing. I don't know how independent you are over there. If you still,
I have a producer, but my producers are in Denver. I've never even met them in person, which they are nice. No, they are working hard, but it's like I need to reach out to the guests, and that's where I messed up because they emailed Jay, he didn't respond, but. I
was actually saying this the other day. I had my first scheduling F up last week, and you feel so bad when you do it because it's
that's what I'm saying. I feel bad that I told him 6, but I told him that last week. I thought we were recording at 6, and it's really 5, and I didn't tell him in time, and he didn't respond to the producer email, but because he gave me some goofball email, like I think it's his real email, but. My point is, it's just like it's on me. It's not my producer's fault, so I'm just annoyed at myself, and it just looks.
You had a couple guests last night. I saw you had a couple guests last night. I forget who.
And had Rex on, Rex Jones. He talks really highly of you. He talks really, really highly of you. He respects you a lot.
He's a good guy. Hopefully, we're going to do some street content soon. I think.
Well, he wants you to go to World War Debate, which we probably should. I might go if I can.
They reached out to me actually. They reached out to me lately. That's what, dude, it's so crazy. That's why it's like the more I go through this and what I'm doing now, and I've talked about this before too, it's still a little different when you have a network and an hour show, but like, dude, trying to manage all the different stuff and do a 3-hour show, it's like you're and eventually there's like too many balls in the air and you're juggling 100 different things. And you kind of just have to say, okay, wait, I just need to focus on the show. It's like, there's so much incoming. It's like, I just got to focus on the show.
Well, and then I'm complaining about a good thing. So I've been filling in for my buddy James Parker. He's a conservative broadcaster on WBAP, but they moved his time slot, so his last time slot has been open. It's the
Yeah, you were in the radio studios.
Yeah, WBAP, and it's actually one of the oldest radio stations in Dallas, and it's actually an easy gig because it's a news talk too. So they're playing like Fox News hits. So really, out of an hour, I only have to talk for like 38, 40 minutes. So it's like 20 minutes is literally commercials
Do you
and
have a
news
radio
hits.
voice? Do you have a radio voice?
Kinda. When I talk on there, I don't deepen it, but I do talk a little because normally I'm a little nasally. So when I'm on there, I'm a little more cognizant of my voice.
Yeah.
It is a little different, and I'm wearing the headphones, so I talk different. Like I'm just a little more dialed in than I am, like even on my show or this show or like a normal podcast. Which I like. I don't know. The stakes are different because like I have to hit the times. Like at InfoWars, you had to hit those times. There's certain times, but it's just a little different, like on the radio because there's also.
I prefer the radio. I'm a product of the radio. That's what I actually prefer the radio style. I mean, my show is more radio style than anything else.
It is, and you are built for the radio because you have a good voice. But what's funny is that I already had a little heat at the station. They haven't even officially hired me. They're just like paying me to fill in. So listen to this. I don't hope he doesn't see this, but it is what it is. I did my first show. I spoke and it was right after the horrible snowstorm. So I drove there. No, everybody else had canceled their shows, but I was like, well, I'm filling in, I got to drive there in the snow. I don't have a choice. I got a truck 4x4. So I was fine. But like some students in, I was like McKinney or I forget which suburb, like 3 kids died, fell in some water. A young girl died in a sledding accident. And dude, Augustus Dorico, his silver iodide, I'm doing research. It affects more snowfall too. Yeah, it makes more rain and it makes more snowfall.
You're going after Augustus again. Okay.
I'm always going after Augustus. I think you like Augustus because like he's InfoWars friendly, but that's what they do. But my point is, so I went on a rant for the meteorologist, like, you went on a rant for 40 minutes about chemtrails. I was like, first of all, I talked about cloud seeding, and cloud seeding's real. He's like, well, I just suggest you not do that because you're not educated in that. And because I don't work there, I was like, all right. I didn't want to.
Meteorologists are some of the most territorial people in the media.
Exactly. I didn't even want to argue with him. The only thing I said is like, I was talking about cloud seeding, not chemtrails, but he was like, still, you don't know. You're out of your league. I'm like, okay, all right.
You don't know anything. You can't tell the weather.
Exactly right. And
I actually had a conversation with Augustus about the snow. He thought I was crazy for thinking it was fake, and I was like, "No way!" So,
dude, go look at my video. Actually, it was my pin thing. I took it down. It had 7 million views, and they had to keep on. They tried to community note it as it was like combobulation or whatever, and it didn't even make sense. So then they had to community note it because I said it's genetically modified, and they're like, snow doesn't have DNA, so it can't be genetically modified. Like they had this community note it somehow, I guess, so I couldn't get revenue because it got 7 million views because a guy has a blowtorch and is blowtorching ice.
Is that happens if you get noted?
Yeah, you don't get monetization on a noted thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's hilarious. I shared a video that was sent to me from a friend who just took a snowball from outside. They just walked outside their house. They balled up a snowball. They put it on their fire pit, and it didn't melt. It didn't melt at all, and it rolled off. I didn't even say anything. The caption was, I put a snowball on a fireplace. That was the caption. No context, no insinuation, and they noted me, and it was the same deal. It got like a couple million views. They noted me. I didn't even make any claims.
No, you don't make any money on it. And I'm not an expert, but I just know that. That's like why those people actually try to know you too.
It definitely dings you. It definitely dings you. Yeah.
And I'm already dinged. Like if you run my thing, like how they have that, there's like, I don't even know how to explain it, but how somebody gave it if you can give it a certain prompt, it'll kind of tell you what your social credit score is on X, and mine's not very good. My social credit score is not very good.
I feel like mine is very volatile. I feel like sometimes it's like really high and then sometimes it's really low. It's like,
mine says he shares dangerous conspiracies. And I mean, I feel like I don't. I feel like the conspiracies I share aren't that dangerous, but whatever.
You're the conspiracy castle. If anything, you're just triggering. I don't think it's really, I think you just trigger people.
Yeah. And I can see both sides. Like, I'll tell you this much. If I don't think we went to the moon in 1969, but we probably can go now. Like, even though I still am like, they're going to do some sort of, BS. And like now I went and toured the Johnson Space Center. And what was crazy is like they showed the Artemis mission, and you would think that if we went in 1969, that all the technology would look similar to that, but it looks totally different. So that's why I'm like, this is going to be a totally different thing.
Well,
And
they
what I
faked the moon landing, so I mean, let's calm down. Let's all.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is what they're going to do is, I think they might, and I could be so wrong because Elon Musk, you saw where Nicki Minaj was being interviewed by Katie Miller, and she said that she didn't believe the moon landing was real, and then Katie Miller goes, "Well, I asked Elon that direct question, and Elon said it is." So it's like, all right, Elon also has like 20 baby mamas under NDAs, but this is what I'm saying. I think that they probably maybe can go to the moon now. You know, maybe they can go there now because we got all this Starship and all this stuff. We see the rockets going out. So like, if it makes sense that we could go in 2026, but they're going to have to justify how it looks different than it looked in 1969. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they're going to have to admit that 1969 was different, because this one I think could be real. You see what I'm saying? And then they're going to have to go back. So I don't know. You know, if they told everybody the moon landing was fake, nobody would care. Ben Shapiro would say, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter. You know, they had to do it. It's a matter of national security."
You don't need to talk about the moon being fake. You don't need to talk about them faking the moon landing.
It's not important.
In fact, you're not a patriot. You're not a patriot if you don't believe in the fake news of the moon landing. And you're not a patriot if you continue to talk about the Epstein files. And I will continue to say this. You are not an American patriot unless you stop talking about the Epstein files. There is nothing to see there. I've gone through the files. There is nothing to see there.
3 million facts, but he's all in his feels. It's funny how that changes.
I was told by somebody that has Pentagon sources that they've only released 8% of the files.
Oh, dude, there's so much more, and there's probably so many worse emails, and they all called us crazy. I have this clip where I called into Howard Stern in 2016 asking him about Pizzagate. He's like, "Oh, that's ridiculous. It's not true." But it is true that these people use coded language. The FBI, you can look up FBI coded language. They have certain swirls, they have signals that these pedophiles use to speak to each other on social media apps so they can do it, you know, indiscriminately.
Howard Stern covering up for the Pizzagate.
But I don't think he was on it. I believe it or not, I don't think he was on the.
You're still friends with his old partner Bubba the Love Sponge.
So Bubba's my best friend. But you know what's funny about Howard? You know why he wasn't in it? I don't think, because I don't think Howard's a pedophile. I think Howard's gay with Ralph. Like, I don't think Howard probably likes little boys. I think he likes guys, and he probably is hiding that secret that he's not going to go. He already has enough secrets to hide, is why I think that he probably wasn't on it. So he's probably not into kids. Like, his politics suck, but he's probably smart enough to realize, like, maybe I shouldn't go to an island and do this with kids. Because Howard Stern is a smart guy, whether you like him or not.
He never leaves his house.
That's what I'm saying. He's not going to go to an island with Epstein. He's going to be like, I don't know about this.
All right. Who you got? Who you got this weekend? You got any action?
All the money's on Seattle right now. And a lot of people disagree with Gary, the numbers guy, but he supposedly won his last 5 Super Bowls. And Suleiman Ahmed, who doesn't gamble, it's Haram. He said that he happened to be with Gary at the last Super Bowl, or the last 2 Super Bowls, I guess. He went with Gary and won. So I'm going to go with what Gary says, but if all the money's on Seattle, then I think it's the Pats. If all the money's on Seattle.
I picked the Pats day one to win. I picked them to win day one when the playoffs started. I've ridden with them every match. I do have them on a game basis. I have them along to win. They were like, I have to use Robinhood because gambling is illegal in Texas. So I think they were going off at like 9 or 8 cents a share at the start of the playoffs. I actually think Seattle's the better team and should win the game, but I think it's going to be rigged. And so I went with the Patriots, and you're getting 5.5. Last I checked, you were getting 5.5. I got them with 5.5.
Really? See, I mean, +5. That's not a full touchdown, but that's close enough.
It's good juice. You know, it's good juice if you can get it in a Super Bowl. But no,
what's the over and under? What's the over and under?
Let me see if I can pull this up real quick.
Because I feel like it's going to be an under game, but I could be wrong. And then they just let the defenses score.
45.5.
See, I don't know if I like that either. I don't know what I would bet on that. I don't know. I think I would take the Pats with the points, and I think they're going to win the game.
That's what I got. I got the I picked the Pats day one of the playoffs. I got the Pats to win straight up. I got the Pats plus 5.5. And because I think it's going to be rigged. I think Seattle's the better team. I think Seattle is the better team, the more complete team.
They got a defense. They got a really good defense. DeMarcus Lawrence, who was a Cowboys player. Yeah.
Arnold is on fire. It's a West Coast game. They play on the West Coast. So.
And that matters, actually. Like, they did stats where the teams that on the West Coast, when they have to travel to the East Coast, it really affects them, and it really affects the East Coast teams that have to travel to the West Coast. So that is a factor in who wins these games. So,
and can you believe the Olympics have started? Do you even know that?
the Winter Olympics have started?
I'm saying the Winter Olympics just started.
What country? In LA? In what city?
They're in Italy. Oh, you can't see this right now.
See, I had no idea. See, that shows you, dude. I don't really watch mainstream stuff, but how have I not seen any of it on social media? Oh my God. I did see Amin Khalifa or whatever. You saw that boxer say they're not transgender. Was mad at people like us. Calling them
transgender. Yeah.
They were just born a hermaphrodite with, mutilated genitals, so they're not.
I was a woman born with a twig and berries. All right, come on.
Yeah, deformed penis, but yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well, dude, we need to catch up. Thank you for letting me plug my show. Everybody watch it. We're weeknights, 11 p.m. Eastern. Real America's Voice. It's on Amazon Prime, Roku. It's on Dish. I think it's channel 318, and on YouTube as well, and X. So if you guys aren't, if you can't find it, then you need to fix your medication. All right.
Stay prime, Stein.
Love you, Owen. All right, I'll talk to you soon, brother. You got to come on my show next week. All right, I'll hit you up.
We'll get it booked.
All right, peace.
Wow, crashed the show. Crashed the show. How does that? Yeah, I've ever seen anything like that before. They crashed the show, guys. This is it. No, I got to sign off before somebody else crashes. God bless and Godspeed. 20 and a half hour break.